All right, you got the usual brake tapping to get home, but we got some crashes too. Right now, police reporting one Antioch Pike near Harding Place. On the South Loop, 65 northbound as you're approaching 40. And then in Brentwood, a crash reported by police, Old Hickory Boulevard at Cloverland Drive. Over on the East Bank going eastbound, police say there's a crash at exit 47A. That'll be the Spring Street Ellington Parkway exit. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello, kids. It is just after 3 o'clock, 3:06 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy, and this, conveniently, is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another day. Happy to have you with us on this Friday edition, April 25, 2025. You probably knew that by now. What you might not know if you're just joining us is we are on location at Tim's Ford Lake in lovely Winchester, Tennessee, and we would love to see you. Come on out and see us at Drafts and Watercrafts. It's at Twin Creeks Marina on Tim's Ford Lake. You can't miss it. Just type in Twin Creeks Marina. It'll take you right to where we are. There's going to be a lot of fun to be had over the next 4 hours, and we would certainly enjoy seeing you. A little rain falling on the water. It's beautiful to look at, as a matter of fact. They're just opening, as a matter of fact, getting everything up and running for the season. I was just talking to Scotty a minute ago at Drafts and Watercrafts. He said they opened up last week, getting everything cranked up and rearing to go for what is surely to be a wonderful late spring and summertime season on the water. If you've never been to Tim's Ford Lake, first off, it's not Tim Ford's Lake. I've well established this. You've probably heard the story by now. It is Tim's Ford Lake, and I learned that the hard way, as a matter of fact. But it is absolutely gorgeous out here, and you have to see it to understand it. They've got cabins for rent. They've got pontoon boats for rent. You can get the family out here for the weekend. If you're in Nashville and you're tired of the grind of a major metropolitan area and you want to come out to the country, a good place to do it is at Tim's Ford Lake and at Twin Creeks Marina. So we'll be talking about that over the course of the afternoon and also talking about much of the issues of the day. As you might have heard, there has been the arrest of at least two judges, maybe more before we get off air. Two judges have been arrested for breaking the law because, you know what, despite the fact that you might wear a black robe, you don't get to break the law. We're going to discuss that over the course of the day today. It is obviously Friday, meaning that it is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Anything on your mind, if we've not covered it over the course of the week, or you want to bring up a subject matter to our attention, now's your opportunity to do that at 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. Those are the telephone numbers. That is the telephone number, and that's also the super text line for those of you shy in the audience, you want to opine on subject matter but don't want to give us a call, you can do it that way as well. Now, I am here. I am joined by Kirby, who is, appropriately handling all of the technical difficulties or the technical decision-making, I should say, because I don't have any ability to do all of that. Back at home base, there would be Ken Weaver back in News Closet B, making sure that all of the headlines that are fit to talk about are heard twice an hour and when it breaks. Hello, Mr. Weaver.
How about you there, Brother Murphy?
What's going on, Kenny?
I'm just sitting here doing the news.
You know, just, like my buddy Jay St. Clair likes to say at 4:05 in the afternoon, we're just defending the poor and downtrodden. Ken, I need some help from you, though.
Okay, let's hear
it. Because we still have, despite the fact that we're on remote, we've still got the television side up and running, Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch.
Yes, sir.
Because we're on remote, is that costing people something today? How much does that cost to like and subscribe?
I don't know. Let me ask Bill. Absolutely nothing, boys. Yeah.
Not a thing to give us the old thumbs up. If you're over there liking and subscribing us, we would appreciate that. And if you're watching on Talk TV, I've got a special treat for you. So I don't know if you guys can see me back there, Ken. And Chris, by the way, Chris Weber's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. Hey, Chris.
I didn't think you were going to acknowledge me.
I got you. No, I got you. I got you.
Hey, good afternoon.
Got a lot of things going on, and you are not at the end of the list. You're kind of toward the bottom, but you're not at the end of the list.
All right, that's good news.
But this might be yours before the end of the day. So I'm going to show you this. I hope that you guys can see me on the old Talk TV side of things.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, good. So y'all know we had Senator Richard Briggs on earlier in the week.
Yes, sir.
Talking about the marijuana.
Oh, the Maritahoochee.
Yeah, that's right. And he was very concerned with youngsters being able to go into stores and buy. What did he call it?
Gummy bears.
He called it gummy bears. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I kind of pushed back on it, right? I mean, I can get a little forceful on occasion, and I pushed back a little bit.
Oh.
I did. But I have an official Matt Murphy apology to offer Senator Richard Briggs, because apparently the senator knew something that I did not.
Oh.
Because I went into a store of convenience, gentlemen, in Winchester, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I found something, and I purchased it for the purpose of apologizing to Senator Richard Briggs.
All right.
Because I had no idea how large the gummy bear situation had gotten in this state. Can y'all see this?
Wow.
That's
That's a head-sized gummy bear.
This is the biggest gummy bear I've ever seen in my life. It is advertised as almost 100 times larger than most gummy bears.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, I love that advertising. I'm reading that verbatim off the package. It says almost 100 times larger than most gummy bears. It is advertised as a ginormous, we'll call it gummy bear. It is in strawberry and blue raspberry flavor.
Oh, and he's on a stick, too.
And he's on a stick.
That's convenient.
And you want to know how many calories this gummy bear has in it?
How many?
All right, there's 4 servings in this one gummy bear.
That's 4 servings. That's it?
4 servings. That's right. And it's 200 calories a serving. 800 calories in this, what is advertised as ginormous gummy bear.
That's not a THC gummy bear, is it?
Well, Ken, I don't know. I mean, that's the problem.
Well,
Senator
eat some
Briggs,
of it. Let's see.
Well, I mean, we can find it. The point is, Ken, the children are getting these gummy bears, and they're running around with them, and they don't know whether they got THC in them or not. I mean, Senator Briggs might have a point. With gummies this large, you never know. It's best to err on the side of caution, Ken, when it comes to the gummy bear problem in this state.
Just ban all gummy bears.
I mean, I'm telling you. But, I mean, look how big they're getting.
That's
Y'all
big
need to. I mean, the problem's real, Ken. This gummy bear is as tall as Dan Mandis. I measured. It's a big old gummy bear for gummy bears.
That's not even including the stick.
That's not, and look at where the stick is.
That looks just like Bud Lightyear.
It looks like. Well, when I saw it with the stick poking where it is, it kind of reminded me of Senator Richard Briggs. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Had it right up his old. Anyway, the folks that come out to the show today, somebody's going to win a gummy bear. So y'all come out and. I need votes for anybody that comes out today. We're all going to vote on what color my shorts are. There's a big debate going on because Kirby has audaciously suggested that my shorts are pink. I would suggest that they're salmon. So we're going to be taking votes today.
No, they're definitely pink then.
They're not pink.
Salmon is not a color.
Salmon is most
It's
certainly a color. Kirby?
Salmon is a color, but I'm going to call those a sweet, dusty rose. Something my grandmother would have worn on a Sunday, I don't know, going to church after Easter.
I didn't think that we could find a worse color than pink, but the way that Kirby just said sweet, dusty rose.
That was good, man.
Yeah. Can they just be pink, please? Anyway, we'll take loose votes on what color my shorts are if you come out and see us at Tim's Ford Lake, and we'll share a gummy bear together and see if it's a THC gummy bear. If you missed the interview with Senator Briggs and you're confused, Senator Briggs insisted that gummy bears were pronounced gummies. or gummy bears, and none of us really understood why. The stick is up his gummy hole. Well, yeah, I guess so. That wasn't me. And 2637 says your first mistake was asking Kirby. Your reputation precedes you on all shows that you do for Cumulus. All right, so there are serious matters to tackle. We've got Fri-Jay coming up at 4:05 this afternoon. Excited about that. Ben Cunningham's going to give us a property tax update at 5:05 this afternoon. And, of course, we would love to see you stop by in person, and we'll try to keep you as informed as humanly possible about the news of the day that's going on. The big news nationally happening. Of course, two separate arrests. The Democrats are actually they're losing their ever-loving minds. They're absolutely losing their minds. They are shocked and dismayed to learn that all of this nonsense that they were spewing over the 4 years of the Joe Biden administration, I think it might merit a step back to remember some of what went down during the Biden administration and how Joe Biden weaponized the Department of Justice to the point that they went after Donald Trump. We created a word for it called lawfare. Y'all remember that? Where they went after Donald Trump every way imaginable, attempting to convict him of some sort of crime, not to put Donald Trump in prison, but to prevent Donald Trump from running for the presidency again and to prevent him from winning the presidency again, neither of which they were able to accomplish. But all of what they did in the courts, whether it be in Florida, Washington, D.C., New York, and wherever, Georgia was the fourth. All of those locations, the design was the same. And that is to figure out some way to hang a charge on Trump. And the New York case actually worked, and that did not dissuade voters from going out and voting for Donald Trump. And behind all of it, when asked about the lawfare nature of the accusations, about the flimsy evidence, about the made-up accusations against Donald Trump, about the ridiculous double standard that existed between the Biden administration and the Trump administration regarding documentation, classified and otherwise, all the while, they told us the same thing, that Matt and anybody else, nobody is above the law. Y'all remember this, right? Nobody, not even the President of the United States, is above the law. We were reminded this over and over and over again. And generally speaking, we agreed with that and said that's correct, but that does not mean that you can whip up made-up charges against anyone, including the President of the United States, and expect those charges to stick. And thankfully, none of the charges in Florida, none of the charges in Georgia, none of the charges in D.C. stuck. The state charge against Donald Trump in New York City a jury did find him guilty of these flimsy charges, and we expect that all of that will be overturned on appeal. All of that to say, apparently the Democrats don't remember their thought process regarding nobody being above the law when it comes to judges who are blatantly violating the law. The FBI has arrested a Wisconsin judge for allegedly hiding an illegal immigrant in her jury room in order to stop that person from being arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I mean, we have a very serious problem in the United States of America when our judges think that they have the ability to flaunt the law to such a degree that they can literally hide criminal aliens from authorities. Why in the world a judge would think that she or anyone else could get away with this is beyond me, but that's the story. Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Duggan was arrested and charged with obstruction of an official proceeding this morning after evidence came to light that she shielded an illegal alien from ICE agents, according to federal law enforcement. Now, I want to take a step back before we dive deeper into the details of this case, and I'm going to tell you about the case happening out west, too, involving another individual who wore a black robe in New Mexico. And that individual has been removed from the bench, and that individual is facing arrest charges as well. But before we do that, let's give credit where due to because I was not confused, but concerned about the activity of our FBI under Kash Patel, and we've talked about that, where we did not see necessarily the transparency in the first 95 days that we had necessarily hoped to see through the FBI, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and the like. And to include Attorney General Pam Bondi. Well, I will say that this is the type of activity that we were looking for all along, holding individuals who are willing to flaunt the law in this fashion. So we'll take a short time out. We'll come back. We'll get your telephone calls in on it. Would love to hear from you about this or any other subject matter on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. I'll give you the details of the case out of New Mexico, the details of the case out of Milwaukee, and let you opine on both of these in just a moment. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 21 after the hour. Back after this. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. If you're down Franklin Way or up Franklin Way, depending on where you might be listening from, and you head over to the square, head over to Savory Spice. They're just off the square next to Gray's Pharmacy. When you walk in, you will smell the delicious smells of a variety of different spices. I mean, they've got something for every taste. They have something for you tonight, as a matter of fact. All you need to do is walk in, and they can help you figure out exactly what you're looking for, what you want, whether it's a restock in the spice rack with traditional seasonings, the garlic salt or the onion salt or whatever it might, celery salt. I mean, I absolutely love celery salt. Or if it's something more exotic, you can find it at Savory Spice. And I like to say, you come to a point where you want to up your food game a little bit. You up your food game in part by upping that spice game. And you up your spice game at the one and only Savory Spice. About 25% of their stock has gone down in price in 2025. They pass those savings right along to you at Savory Spice. So go in and see Holly, David, and the rest of the crew at Savory Spice. You are invited this weekend. Just off the square in Franklin, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice.
A pregnant woman among those injured in an East Nashville shooting. I'll tell you about that coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. There he is in News Closet B. Ken Weaver, Chris Weber back at home base as well. We're out at Twin Creeks Marina on Fjord Lake and would love an opportunity to see you. The rain has stopped falling. And before you know it, Kirby's going to grab some quarters and get some fish up here at the dock. They have a big gumball machine that is filled with fish food. And for a quarter, you can get yourself a cup of that fish food and feed the fish. And they are some big ones. Carp. Those are carp, right? Carp, bony fish. Would not recommend eating, but some do. 26 minutes after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let me fill you in real quick with some of the details on this, and then we'll get to a few of your telephone calls. The FBI arrested this Wisconsin judge, Hannah Duggan. Federal agents from the FBI, ICE, the CBP, and the DEA attempted to arrest an undocumented male following his scheduled criminal court appearance on April 18th. That's when federal law enforcement sources say Judge Duggan demanded the officers proceed to the chief judge's office. At one point, they say the judge left and that the undocumented individual's hearing concluded and that he quickly left the building. Fox News, according to their reporting, learned that federal law enforcement officials believe Duggan willfully redirected agents and officers to the judge's office so that the illegal alien could leave the courtroom and evade arrest. Judge Duggan will likely have her initial court appearance in federal court sometime today. And I don't know if that's happened or not. This story was written earlier this morning. Duggan had disputed the accuracy of local reports earlier this week, which claimed she had shielded an illegal alien from ICE. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reported that Duggan responded to the accusations by writing, quote, "Nearly every fact regarding your tips in your email is inaccurate." Well, you'll get your day in court like everyone who has gotten their day in court before you, Judge Duggan, and I wish you well in that endeavor. We've got more on this New Mexico case coming up in just a couple of minutes. Right now, in the spirit of First Amendment Freestyle Friday, let us go to line one, and Craig is in Mount Juliet. Hello, Craig. Good afternoon.
Hello, Chris. How are you today?
I'm great, Craig.
I must commend you for quoting Robert Plant. Yes, a little rain must fall.
Unto each life, some rain must fall. Yes.
And let's see. Yesterday, y'all talking about NASCAR. A good selling point was at the track in Nashville last year. It rained for an hour. They got the track dry in an hour. It went to a record 5 overtimes, and just an awesome selling point for everybody to be there this year.
Man, it's a big regret of mine, Craig, that I think it was 3 years ago when Chase Elliott won the race. And
I love him.
I thought it was going to be rained out, and I was there, and the rain came down, and it was pretty late. And I said, man, let's just get out of here. And we left the track, and I watched they got the race restarted, and Chase won it. And I'm like, I'm never leaving early again, never doing it again.
We all have to learn the hard way sometime. And also, I wanted you to tell whoever's got that gummy bear, pull the stick out, hold it for me. I'm coming to get it.
Okay. I got it. Thank you, Craig, for the call. Much appreciated. I'm holding the stick right now, Craig, just for you. So you come on down and you get that gummy bear and do what you will with it. That's up to you, buddy. We'll get to more calls coming up in just a moment, and as promised, I'll give you a rundown on the details of the New Mexico judge out of Las Cruces. More details are emerging about this judge who apparently – all right, so Judge Dugan or Duggan, I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's Dugan.
Is it Dugan?
Yes,
like,
sir.
Okay, Dugan. It's Goomy and it's Dugan. Okay, got it. So Judge Dugan, she just, sashayed one of these illegal aliens out of her court because apparently she just doesn't believe in following the law. Well, this judge out of New Mexico took it one step further, and this fella, Judge Cano, Joel Cano, was apparently housing Venezuelan nationals, gang members, Tren de Aragua members, in his house. There's pictures of him having drinks. And there's one photo. Have y'all seen this photo of him where he doesn't seem to have any pants on? is very strange. No, there's a photo. He's wearing a flannel shirt. He's drinking some sort of drink. The illegal alien's beside him, and he doesn't seem to have any pants on. I don't really understand what's going on there, but we'll try to dive into it as best we can coming up in a moment. Right now, it's time for news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and right now there's an urgent search after a car drove off of a ferry into the Cumberland River in Stewart County this afternoon. They have shut that ferry down there. Right now in Nashville, Channel 4's Jordan James says a teenager's among people hurt in a shooting in East Nashville.
Metro police say a group of people were hanging out near a playground when multiple rounds were fired at them. A 15-year-old boy was grazed by a bullet, and a pregnant woman sitting in her apartment was grazed in her stomach. Investigators say people near the playground fired back at the suspects who ran away.
Those two people expected to be okay. Metro police say they arrested a 15-year-old believed to be one of the shooters. About 1,500 people in Robertson County don't have power right now after a substation caught fire in Orlando. Crews working to restore that electricity. The FBI arresting a former and a current judge on charges of helping illegal immigrants. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi speaking with ABC News about the alleged offense and this escalation in the immigration crackdown.
It doesn't matter who you are. No one can harbor them, not even a judge. We do believe in the rule of law, and not even a judge is above the law.
Yeah, so Milwaukee Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested and charged for allegedly allowing an illegal immigrant, which ICE had orders of removal for, to slip away through the jury door. And in New Mexico, court documents allege that former Doña Ana County Judge Joel Cano allowed members of a Venezuelan gang to live on his property. Disgraced former U.S. Representative George Santos sentenced to more than 7 years in federal prison today after pleading guilty to multiple fraud schemes. Here's John Durham, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York.
He defrauded prospective political supporters by convincing them to make campaign contributions based on false statements, and then he took the money for himself.
Reports say Santos cried and said he was sorry. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, over on the East Bank, police reporting a crash eastbound at the Spring Street Ellington Parkway exit. On the South Loop, police say there's a crash 65 northbound approaching I-40. And then in Brentwood, a crash. Police say it's Old Hickory Boulevard at Cloverland Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk with you about my friend Shane Ring at Cover Nash. He's located right here in Middle Tennessee, and he is your local expert when it comes to not only opting into health care plans, but also becoming educated on exactly what your plan does for you and what it does not do for you, what you really need and how much you ought to be paying or spending for any medical procedures or visits. When you book your appointment with Shane, you can either do it on the phone, and that's fine, or you can do it in person in his office in Brentwood. No more call center agents wasting your time, or bills that you were never told that you were going to get. With Shane Ring at Cover Nash, he will teach you how to not just understand your bills, but understand how to maximize the health care plan that you currently have. Now, if your health care plan is A-OK, he'll tell you that. But if there is a better one out there, Shane can shop the market, and he can tell you that as well. 615-465-0023. That's 615-465-0023, or go online and book your appointment today to Cover Nash. That website, covernash.com. Shane Ring and covernash.com. Happy Friday, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Show, and we appreciate you being with us. We're in Winchester at Twin Creeks Marina, just down from Drafts and Watercrafts Restaurant. Come on out and see us on the lake, on Timms Ford Lake. We'd love to say hello to you. We love talking with you on these First Amendment Freestyle Fridays, and with that in mind, let's go back to the phone lines and talk with Fig, who is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Hey, Fig, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
Well, I got in the car yesterday right as you were doing the Gummy Bear Burns interview there, and I'm listening to that, and I got a little upset, and I just thought I'd voice my opinions on it.
Let's do it.
First off, the one question that I was truly waiting for y'all to ask, and I thought y'all handled it very, very well overall, even though he was trying to distract y'all with accusations of stuff. How much money did he take from the alcohol industry? And I would love to see a Freedom of Information Act to say, question two things. A, what was his contact with the liquor industry, and particularly the whiskey industry in Tennessee, about this bill? And then how much money did he take from them, because they're the ones that have been hurt the most by the THC in Nashville and Tennessee. As it became more legal, alcohol sales went down. And so it is, I do believe, has a lot to do with the liquor industry and the sales taxes that they get from that. And then the other side of that is, for me, you have antiquated people making laws for modern day. And y'all kind of alluded to it with the question, about the reefer madness. He doesn't even have a true understanding of what it is and how it helps people. He's a big government conservative, obviously. Does he want to regulate how much Diet Coke I get also? So I just wish y'all had given a little more questions as far as, has been lobbying him about it, and who benefits or gets hurt the most by that law, and then, just his understanding of what it is. There's states all around us that it's legal, and we're just going to lose that to a black market. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, no, I appreciate your 2 cents. And let me just say, I don't know Senator Richard Briggs. The first conversation that I had with the senator was on the radio just the other day. And for those who missed it, it's podcast. You can find it at 997WTN.com. We had a conversation. Senator Briggs was the sponsor of legislation that has a lot of hemp producers and a lot of proprietors of businesses that sell hemp-based products concerned that they are going to have to go out of business, that they're going to have to close their doors. Tennessee lawmakers voted to pass some sweeping changes regarding what is and is not legal. Currently, it's not Delta-9-based products, which is what we would classify as marijuana, is not currently legal. And I thought about asking the question to your point, Fig, about alcohol sponsorship and whether or not this senator had taken money from the alcohol industry. I understand that many of them do. I just chose not to go there, but I get it. I was trying not to necessarily question his motives, but more figure out exactly where he was coming from and why he believed that this approach regarding hemp and marijuana-based products would be effective in doing what illegalization has not been effective to do. I mean, so if I had a regret, and we had a very broad conversation that went on, and I thought it was a good conversation. And I don't believe that Senator Briggs and I left the conversation necessarily liking one another very much. I tried not to be disagreeable with him, but, I felt like he was, a little bit less than, I don't want to say honest, but that's the word that comes to mind when it comes to alcohol consumption in the state of Tennessee. He frankly misrepresented some facts regarding Tennessee and binge drinking. At the same time, I don't understand what he doesn't understand about the failures of what they've done regarding marijuana thus far. I mean, marijuana consumption exists in the state of Tennessee. I've never purchased marijuana in the state of Tennessee. I wouldn't know where to go purchase marijuana in the state of Tennessee. But I'll tell you this. If I were standing in Nashville, if I were at our studios right now in Nashville, downtown Music Row, I bet you $1,000 that within an hour I could bring back a baggie of pot. I guarantee you that I could do it. And I've never done it in my life. But I could do it. I know that I could do it. Now, I wouldn't do it because it's illegal, but I promise you that I could. Well, if I have the ability to do that, then obviously something that we are doing in this state is not working. If we continue to claim that these marijuana laws are working, then we're fooling ourselves. I've never believed that the government should have this level of control over individual lives. And I understand that earnest and honest people, I don't think that Briggs, and I'm not taking up for him, but I don't think that Briggs necessarily has to be corrupted by the alcohol industry in order to believe in what he's saying. I think many people do believe that it is the government's job to control what you consume. But I would ask you, where does that end? If it doesn't end, let's put it this way. There was a time when small government conservatives also believed that it was the government's authority to tell you that you could not drink alcohol either. And I don't know if we remember this or not, but there was a pretty robust effort to eliminate alcohol consumption across the United States of America. And it was such a failure that they reversed it constitutionally, 18th and 21st Amendments, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, these types of laws attempting to dictate how people lead their daily lives have never truly worked. It's where the phrase you cannot legalize morality, or you cannot make immorality an illegal act. Because whether you do it or not, it is not going to necessarily change the behavior of individuals that might look at what is and is not moral differently than the government that serves them. So I think it's a fool's errand. I believe that just as let me ask you this. And one of the questions that I wish I'd asked Senator Briggs the other day that I failed to ask him is as follows. Why do we not have bootleg liquor sales and issues with black market or bootleg liquor in the state of Tennessee? Because when alcohol sales were illegal in this state, when prohibition was the law of the land, there was a lot of bootleg liquor. There was a lot of black market liquor, and you had no idea what your proof was. You had no idea what you were drinking. You didn't know if you were drinking, actual alcohol or paint thinner. Why was that? Why do we not see bootleg alcohol sales in the way that we did when alcohol was prohibited? Well, I mean, I think the answer is pretty obvious, and I think it is also a way by which you may regulate something, that you legalize it in order to gain control over it, and then you can tax it and, put all the sin taxes on the thing that you want at that point, and let the chips fall where they may. So what many states have done, some would suggest and I know many of my conservative friends think I am off the reservation with my libertarian beliefs on this, and I understand that too. I do not believe that this is toothpaste that you're going to be able to poke back into the tube in terms of general consensus on marijuana use, and I think you lose far more than you gain attempting to illegalize it or getting more and more stringent and passing further and further laws attempting to curtail consumption. I just think it's a fool's errand. That is my take. I'm interested in yours at 47 after the hour. Let's talk with Mark, who is next on the line. Hey, Mark, how are you?
All right, how you doing?
I'm great, Mark. Thank you for calling.
Yes, I have leukemia, and I have a hard time eating. And I have several friends who have cancer, and they have a hard time eating. So we go to Illinois and you can buy 15 grams in Illinois, and I bring it home. I take a few puffs every night, so I'll have an appetite. I've never had marijuana. I've smoked marijuana on and off my whole life, but it's always given me the munchies. And my friends that have cancer, they smoke it to get an appetite. They don't smoke it to get high. They smoke it because they can't eat. And it's all I've ever said about marijuana. It makes people eat that have cancer that can't eat.
I do know. Yeah, I do know. I've had experience with that in my own life. I've had experience with my own family. Thankfully, my mother never came to the point where she needed that type of remedy. But I've studied the medicinal use of marijuana, CBD oil, and what marijuana can do for individuals enough to know that there. Some people ask, why is it here? We jokingly refer to it as the devil's lettuce and all that kind of thing, Mark. But I have made the suggestion over the years that I think we're barely scratching the surface about the medicinal uses of marijuana. Study after study indicate, just as you say, that there are many different ways that marijuana can alleviate, cancer issues and those with terminal illness, those with glaucoma and the like. I've heard it, and I believe you. And it's unfortunate that you have to do that in order to find a way to alleviate some of your pain, but I understand why you do it.
It's going to be hard for Tennessee and Kentucky we're in the Bible Belt, so it's really hard to get anything passed. But I draw a check. I get a pension check from Anheuser-Busch every month, so I know all about drinking. I haven't drank in 18 years since I've had leukemia. But they're not going to legalize it because there's too much alcohol made in those two states.
Well, that might be the case. I know that there's a lot of thank you, Mark, for the call. I appreciate you very much. I understand that the alcohol lobbying efforts are strong in the state of Tennessee. And I want to make clear, and I know the caller alluded to it, I have no idea who's taking money from the alcohol industry and who's not taking money from the alcohol industry. I can do some research on that over the weekend, and I can give you the numbers. I'm not casting aspersions at any individual members of the General Assembly as to what their positions are. I just disagree with the concept of making things illegal for the purpose of controlling if you want to control the daily aspect of the lives of Tennesseans, I don't believe that that's a freedom-minded approach. I don't believe it's a small government-minded approach. And it has never shown to work. It's never worked. And it won't work. And what you will do is you will drive industry out of the state, and you will sacrifice that $250 million a year industry for the sake of proselytizing. And I just don't think that's good government. It's 9 minutes until the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Gentlemen, have you lost kind of the energy levels that you once had in your life? And do you feel like if you're in your 40s or if you're like me, you're just over 50, you're like, well, that's just the way it goes, Murph. You lose a step or two on the way to being older. Well, you don't have to lose a step or two, and especially if it's manifesting itself or you're experiencing a loss of bedroom activity or, desire to go to the gym. These can be the results of testosterone loss. And if you've lost a T level, you know that you can regain that natural T level by going to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Ask them about this. They have qualified urologists. They are as professional and discreet as the day is long. They can sit down with you and walk you through an individual plan for you. Do not try to do this over the internet. Don't try to buy the pills over the internet that are oftentimes overpriced and don't even work. Let's go to the professionals at the Tennessee Men's Clinic and find out what's truly going on. An office visit, a little blood work, and you will get results before you leave that day. And it works. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Or give a call today and schedule that appointment. Locations in Franklin, the Cool Springs area, as well as the original in Midtown. That's 615-208-9090. 208-9090.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Urgent search underway after a car drove off of a ferry in Stewart's County and two judges, one judge, one former judge, arrested for hiding illegal immigrants from ICE. These stories and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There he is, Ken Weaver. He's got the news headlines for you in just a couple of minutes. My name is Matt Murphy, and I'll opine on said same. We do have some more details emerging about this case involving a New Mexico judge and alleged gang members gaining national attention. KOB4, which is a television station out of New Mexico, reported that former Dona Ana, and I hope I'm pronouncing that county correctly, Magistrate Judge Joel Cano will never sit on the bench again in the state of New Mexico. Cano served on the bench since 2011. He resigned last month before the state Supreme Court decided to ban him from holding judicial office. Now, New Mexico is at best purple and, frankly, more blue than anything. In his resignation letter in March, so I'm suggesting that to tell you that the state Supreme Court is not looking at this as a political blue-red issue. In his resignation letter in March, Cano does not give a reason for resigning because that's not what you do when you've allowed Tren de Aragua members to be at your house, to sleep at your house, do other things at your house. Court documents show the letter came just days after Homeland Security raided his home in Las Cruces. Search warrant inventory list showed that federal agents seized items from his house, including 6 phones, miscellaneous documents, and laptop computers. The search warrant itself revealed the investigation has been in the works for months after federal agents received word that he was housing undocumented aliens at his home. And these undocumented Venezuelans were staying at his home. They were working for his family. They were given access to his firearms. Those suspects, I'll have more on this coming up in just a moment after the top of the hour news. More of your calls as well. Plus, it is Fri-Jay, and we will initiate Fri-Jay proceedings coming up in the 4 o'clock hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hang in there.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Stewart County in northwest Tennessee, law enforcement is investigating after a car drove off into the water. This is at the Cumberland City Ferry there in Stewart County. That ferry's been shut down for the investigation. Right now in Sumner County, volunteer firefighter Christopher Roach is charged with arson and vandalism. Authorities say Roach intentionally set fire to several vehicles in Millersville yesterday. He was booked into the Sumner County Jail on a $100,000 bond. And authorities ask that you keep an eye out for a Subaru Baja. Kentucky State Police say that's the vehicle 50-year-old escaped inmate Christian Jones was last seen in after walking off a work detail in Simpson County. They say he was headed toward Tennessee. And in Nashville, Metro Police say officers were called to a gas station on Murfreesboro Pike around 12:45 this morning. They found a naked woman covered in blood who needed immediate medical assistance. She said she had jumped from a moving car to escape her abusive ex-boyfriend. 24-year-old Marquettis Jenkins booked into the Metro jail, charged with attempted criminal homicide and bond set at $260,000. The FBI arresting a former and a current judge on charges of helping illegal immigrants hide from ICE agents. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
We're attempting to protect victims. We're attempting to protect citizens, make America safe again. That's what we're doing. And if you commit a crime in this country, you're going to be held accountable. Doesn't matter. We're going to prosecute you. No one is above the law. not even a judge.
So here's what happened with this sitting judge in Milwaukee.
Judge Hannah Dugan did make her initial appearance this morning. She was charged with 2 federal crimes. That includes concealing a person from discovery and arrest, and the second count is obstruction of federal proceedings. She appeared, her attorney in that court proceeding said that, quote, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly protests the arrest, and the judge ended up actually ordering her released after that hearing. We expect that she will plead not guilty to those charges.
Yeah, the FBI says Judge Dugan helped an illegal immigrant who was charged with battery and abuse to slip out of her courtroom through the jury door while directing ICE agents to another part of the courthouse. And Alex Stone reports on this case of that former judge in New Mexico.
Former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano resigned from his position in March. He's now been arrested along with his wife, accused of knowingly allowing members of a Venezuelan gang to live on their property. They were arrested by ICE agents on Thursday night. 3 Venezuelan nationals were arrested earlier this year on their property. They had allegedly been living in a guest house. The former judge is also accused of providing the men with guns, something he denies. Alex Stone, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we picked up a crash in Madison. It is on the right shoulder, 65 northbound, just past Old Hickory Boulevard. And it looks like 40 westbound now at Spence Lane. Police reporting a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for hour number 2. It is 6 minutes after 4 o'clock, and it has turned out to be gorgeous on Timms Ford Lake. Tell you what, we're at Twin Creeks Marina, just down from Drafts and Watercrafts, the beautiful restaurant down at the end of the marina, looking over the beautiful pontoon boats. Many of them are for rent. You can rent a pontoon and go out on the lake. You can rent a cabin and spend the weekend at Timms Ford Lake. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But we are down, out and about on the marina today, and we would love to see you. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight. We've also got plenty to get into. Obviously, we've been covering these 2 judicial arrests on the part of the FBI. Apparently, Kash Patel and his organization has been doing a little bit of work. We've wondered where they are, if the transparency that we were promised would come to fruition. Well, maybe not the transparency quite yet, but certainly some activity on that front. We'll continue to discuss that. We'll continue taking your telephone calls as well, of course, at 615-737-9986. But you guys know what time it is. It's 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. It is Friday, and in the 4 o'clock hour, we change all of that, and we call it Fri-Jay.
Good morning, Americans. It's Fri-Jay.
It is time for our legal man. He's a good Tennessee man. He's the finest legal mind I have ever had the pleasure of being around. He's a pretty darn good golfer, too, but he's better at the craps table. He's my best friend, Jay St. Clair, and he joins us on Fri-Jay. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Matt, I can see you. You're on TV.
Oh, well, we figured it out. We weren't sure exactly how we were going to do all of this, but I think we figured it out. So I could see you and you could see me. What's going on, brother?
You know, if I were any better, I would be Red Farmer looking over the car my childhood buddy Johnny Redmond presented to him this afternoon at the Talladega Motorsports Museum.
Jay, I saw that on social media, and I'm so glad you brought it up because it was the first question that I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
For those in the audience, many of our listeners are big NASCAR fans, and some of them perhaps go back this far. But for those Red Farmer is amazing.
He's an icon. I mean, he's an icon.
One of the original members of the Alabama gang.
Right.
And how old is he now? Do you know?
Yeah, he's in his 90s. I'm not sure that he knows exactly, but this is what Johnny told me. Johnny's got to be pretty good buddies with him. And the way that Red describes it, he says, well, ask him how old he is, and he says, well, I don't buy green bananas. How funny is that? How funny is that?
Is he still getting behind the wheel and getting on the track?
I can't imagine he does. I don't know. I didn't ask him. There was a huge crowd of people, so I got a chance to shake his hand, take some pictures, but I cannot imagine he's still racing.
Well, I know Red. I think as you know,
well, he raced into his 80s.
Oh,
yeah, he raced into his 80s, absolutely.
But that is very cool. So tell me about the car.
He doesn't buy green bananas.
He doesn't buy green bananas. That's funny. Well, tell me about this car. So your buddy presented him with a kind of one that was in his honor?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's something Johnny built. It's a type of car that Red raced back in the day, back in the 60s. It was a 63, I think, Ford Fairlane. Johnny found the body somewhere. And it's a big car. It's back, there's a 114-inch wheelbase, which, that's big. Mm-hmm. The current Cup cars at 110, the little late models I raced were 106. So, I mean, it's a big car. But, yeah, and he worked on it for years. I asked him, how much time do you have in this, Johnny? He said, well, labor hours, probably 2,000. But he engineered the whole thing. He's an engineer by trade. Mm-hmm. And, worked on space stuff up in Huntsville. And so he designed the frame, designed the roll cage, designed the suspension, designed everything. But it's made to look like the cars they raced back in the 60s.
Wow.
And Mr. Farmer just loved it. He absolutely loved it. He was, looking at everything and asking a lot of questions. And there was a big crowd of people around, and everybody wanted to take pictures of him. And I didn't really think about it until I was driving out there. Well, it's race weekend at Talladega. So, and the party has started, Matt.
So
I thought, well, I mean, it's Friday afternoon, right? There won't be anybody out there. Oh boy.
Oh no! I mean that party starts Tuesday or Wednesday, Jay, and it goes all weekend long.
Yep.
Well, I only wish that I had you at the Talladega Boulevard at about 2:00 on Saturday night, Sunday morning, I guess it was, to witness what I witnessed on the boulevard. Because my friend, it was insane.
I cannot believe you spent the night in the infield at Talladega.
I told this story yesterday because we had Noah Gregson in the studio with us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was doing a tour of Nashville in advance of the Super Speedway race, the Cracker Barrel 400, and and I was telling the story about my strongest memory of that night, and I will admit to you, Jay, there was brown water involved, and so the memories get fuzzy.
Sure.
But my strongest memory of that night was about 3:00 in the morning trying to get to sleep, and there was some woman calling for her dog. Her dog had gotten loose, and I forget the dog's name. It was like Bingo or something, and she's like, Bingo, Bingo, Bingo. And finally some guy from way across the infield said, will somebody either find or shoot that dog? And she stopped yelling for Bingo right after that.
Poor Bingo.
Well, we invite questions coming in for Jay St. Clair of a legal variety, obviously, 615-737-9986, or of a racing variety. Frankly, Jay and I get off in racing territory during the season. Jay, I've got to tell you this, though. You and I have talked about this for a number of years, and I had Noah Gregson in. He's with Front Row Motorsports. He rides around in the number 4 car in the Cup Series, and he was a hoot, an absolute hoot.
No, he's a big personality. He's a big personality.
And I don't know how I thought to – well, it's because he was driving for Stuart Haas until they disbanded their Cup.
Sold out, right.
Yeah, they sold out and disbanded their Cup rides. And I asked him how well he'd gotten to know Tony Stewart. And I said, I've always wondered if it was really true that he wanted to win so bad that he was willing to go number 2 in the suit. He goes, oh, it's 100%. He confirmed this story, Jay. He said that he was hunting with Tony Stewart, he said, just a couple of weeks ago. And I said, well, how in the world did you confirm this story? He said, I asked him about it. And I said, you asked him about it? He goes, yeah. Everybody talks about it, so I just went ahead and asked him, did you really go number 2 in your fire suit at Watkins Glen? And Tony said, yeah, I won the race too, didn't I?
They're a different breed. Real race car drivers. I mean, there's just a different breed, man.
Oh man! Well, it was a lot of fun having Noah in the studio with us. Jay, your area of expert. I mean, well, you're pretty fair as an expert in auto racing, but you're a better lawyer. I'm curious if you have any thoughts about these judges. I mean, we like to throw the phrase around, nobody's above the law. I think the Justice Department demonstrated that in a couple of cases, one in New Mexico and the other in Wisconsin. You can't just go around flaunting the law and expect to get away with it no matter if you wear a black robe or not, huh?
Matt, here's what I would say about that. The quality of state court judges around the country varies greatly. There is a huge difference between, as a group, not individually, as a group, state court judges versus federal judges. Federal judges are vetted. They have to be confirmed by the Senate. And so you weed out people who should not be judges. Mm-hmm. That's not true at the state level. State level, most state court judges are elected, and they run as on a political party, man. Others are appointed. I think mostly in Tennessee they're appointed. I know the Supreme Court justices are there, and maybe even all the way down to general session judges. That's a much better system, in my view. So you get a very wide variety of quality of legal acumen, and frankly, quality of person. And I'm just saying it. It's just a fact, man. And I've known a bunch of them who, if they had ever had to go through any kind of vetting, would not have made it. And I'm telling you, judges, I sure hope our friend Richard is listening. And I hope maybe he would never say anything about this on air, but maybe he'll talk to us as the back channels. But a lot of judges get the Napoleon complex, particularly once they've been on the bench for a while, Matt, and they just have a fiefdom, and they have a tremendous amount of power. They do in their courtroom. They can do whatever they want to do in their courtroom. They can get reversed on appeal, but in that moment, what they say goes.
Right.
If they call a bailiff and tell the bailiff to lock up Matt Murphy, guess what happens?
Matt Murphy gets locked up.
That's exactly right. At that very moment, Matt, that's exactly right. And so it's disappointing, but I'll be honest with you, not surprising to me at all.
Well, I mean, you have said so much there, Jay, but you remind me that with someone that has that level of immediate power, maybe not long-term power, but immediate power, you better have someone with that level of power that is a person of high character.
Right.
And when you find those people that are not of high character, then sometimes they expose themselves and abuse the power that they truly have. I mean, in the short term, we give judges immense amount of power. I mean, well, like you say, I mean, they can lock someone up.
Absolutely.
Just because they say so.
I've seen it happen. In fact, there was even a federal judge here, and if Richard's listening, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And he got a reputation so that if you had a hearing going on over his courtroom, somebody would say, well, where are you going? Well, I'm going to Judge Blank's courtroom. Well, you better take a toothbrush because this is in federal court, and they had a little cell off of the courtroom so that when they brought prisoners in, for sentencing or some kind of hearing, they had to have a place to keep them locked up. Mm-hmm. And so there was a little lockup, a little like a closet, but it was a lockup. And yeah, if a judge, if he really got upset with a lawyer, he'd lock him up for an hour or two.
Right. Just make them think on it for a hot minute.
Well, make the point. No, what he's doing, he's saying, look, I am in charge. This is my courtroom, and you better do what I say.
Our good friend called it black robe syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our friend called it, and I can understand it. I mean, you get that level of power and control. It would be easy to, I suppose, if you're of low character, to abuse it.
Yeah, well, it's so common that there is a phrase for it.
Black robe syndrome.
Right.
Josh wants to know, ask Jay when he's going to sit on the bench.
Josh, they have a 3-skeleton rule. If you have 1 skeleton in your closet, that's fine. Maybe even 2. But 3, you're out. Well, Josh, I passed the 3-skeleton rule probably in my 30s. I might have made it to 45. And I'm age limited out now anyway. There was a time when I thought about being on the Alabama Supreme Court, man. Our buddy Jay Mitchell, I was probably about his age. There was a vacancy at the time, and Riley was the governor, and we had a lot of folks that were close to him. So I thought about it, but decided I couldn't take the pay cut.
Yeah, well, you would have taken a pay cut, I tell you that. And I mean, I agree with you, Jay, that I having experienced it both ways. I mean, here in Tennessee, where you have your Supreme Court, which is an appointment-based system, and then in the state of Alabama, where we saw, I mean, in my time, millions and millions of dollars to support this judge or that judge. Yeah. And it was my experience, because you know what I do for a living, right? We have these folks on that are running for public office, and you ask them questions. Well, I stopped having judges on years ago, Jay, and you know exactly why.
They can't answer anything.
Well, that's right. And for those who don't know, they're not permitted through the canon of judicial ethics to answer questions that may come before them as a judge.
Right.
So
yeah, they can't prejudge the case. Right.
So if I ask their position on any issue, they can't answer me legitimately. Right. So, I mean, what so then my question becomes, well, then how can people adequately determine whether or not they want to vote for these folks?
They can. The answer is they can. That's why, I tell you who's really hard to pick. Really hard is a doctor. How are we supposed to get really good information to know who is a really good doctor, man? The only way I know to do that, frankly, is word of mouth. Is getting a personal reference. Same thing with lawyers. It is really hard to pick a good lawyer. It's an imperfect market. And the same thing is true about judges. We know very little about them. And the only thing, I'd say the one occupation that doesn't fit in that is radio talk show host. We got a lot of information about them.
Well, most of it, us radio talk show hosts would prefer you not have, and most of it you learn in Tunica, Mississippi, or thereabouts on the golf course too. All right, 22 after the hour. Many questions coming in for Jay St. Clair. We're going to ask Jay all of these questions. It is Fri-Jay on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you have a question or a thought, 615-737-9986. Get them in here. 23 after on Super Talk. Speaking of doctors, sadly, there's another aspect to the medical industry that gets you even further from your doctor, and that is insurance. Now, I understand that people feel like they need insurance, and surely I understand why you would. But at the same time, insurance companies get between you and medical decisions made with your doctor. That is why Grace Point Healthcare is so important. They're affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine, and they are a direct pay primary care provider. That means that all treatment decisions are made between you and the medical staff, you and your doctor, not your insurance company. Why would you want insurance companies making the decision about whether you need a certain treatment or not? You don't. You want your doctor making those decisions along with you. Whether you're paying by the visit or enroll in their Smart Care plan, you'll always know you're getting exceptional care at the most affordable prices. As a matter of fact, the basic Smart Care plan is just $69 a month, and that offers you unlimited office visits plus free basic labs and diagnostic testing. Never any wait times at Grace Point Healthcare. Oftentimes you get in same day or next day, even for brand new patients. Give them a call and schedule an appointment today at 599-6868. That's 599-6868. Located in the heart of Franklin, available anywhere. Just stop by and see them today at Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Hello, folks. It's Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest is my one and only recommended pest control company in the state of Tennessee, and they've been providing quality and excellent coverage for you and your family and your homes for many, many years. J.K. Brister, Erica Brister, and the rest of the team at U.S. Pest, they get it done the right way. 100% money-back guarantee on every service that they provide at U.S. Pest because they know what they're doing and they believe in the way that they do it. Whether it's full-service pest control, termite protection, or crawl-space service, they get it done at U.S. Pest. Listen, it is bug season. You guys know that by now. You'll probably see them coming out of the woodwork. You've noticed the ants or the ladybugs or the silverfish or roaches or even spiders, ticks, and fleas. They are growing this time of year, and it's only going to get worse during the summer months. It's time to get rid of them with U.S. Pest. If you're currently dissatisfied with your current pest control company, or if you're looking for a switch, or if you don't have a pest control company, might I recommend U.S. Pest. Schedule a free pest and termite inspection today by going to uspest.com or call 590-1260. That's 590-1260 for our friends at U.S. Pest.
Well, the protests have started after the FBI arrested a sitting judge in Wisconsin for allegedly hiding an illegal immigrant from ICE. And new Titans quarterback is surprised at today's introductory press conference. We'll tell you about that at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, about 2 minutes until that newscast from Ken Weaver back at home base in Nashville, just off of Music Row. We're at Twin Creeks Marina, just down from Drafts and Watercrafts. We are on Tim's Ford Lake, and we'd love for you to come by and say hello to us. You can see this big old ginormous gummy bear that I've got that I bought at a convenience store a minute ago. Jay, I do have this theory, and I want to float this by you while we're talking about judges, and we'll get to calls and questions coming up in just a moment. But my theory about the United States Supreme Court, just in my experience, and you're far more familiar with this than me. You're the only one in this conversation that's argued a case before the Supreme Court. But it seems to me that judges, they never get more conservative when they're on the court. I think that if they are conservative, if they're strict constructionist, they sometimes remain so. Antonin Scalia, Clarence Thomas, two good examples. But if they move at all, it seems that they move to a more, dare I say, liberal interpretation of the Constitution. Do you think that's a fair analysis?
Well, you're not the only person that's ever said that, man. In fact, I would say that is the prevalent view.
Okay.
That is a very commonly held view of Supreme Court, particularly Supreme Court justices.
Why do you think? Do you think that is just because they want to it creates a value or an equity in the judicial branch?
The honest answer is I don't know, because I've never talked to anybody about it, man. I think some of it may be just a little bit of social pressure, frankly. Mm-hmm. Well, more so during the 60s and 70s, when everything was becoming a little bit more liberal. I got to be honest with you, Matt. I'm seeing a real cultural change. And we're seeing it in Gen Z.
Right.
Have you seen some of these polls?
Where
yes. a majority of men under age 25 identify themselves as conservative.
Yep.
So there's a chance. So my guess is just pure speculation, but I think it's that I think it's maybe almost a subconscious sort of social pressure to become more liberal as society became more liberal.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good analysis. All right, time for the news. When we come back, Larry has asked me to ask Jay how fast his Z06 will go. I'll do that in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. So the protests have started after the FBI arrested a judge in Milwaukee for allegedly hiding an illegal immigrant in the jury room from ICE agents who had an order of removal.
What do we do when judges are under attack? Stand up, fight back. What do we do when immigrants are under attack? Stand up, fight back.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan there in Milwaukee shows no one is above the law. Then there is that former judge in New Mexico.
According to court documents, former Doña Ana County Judge Joel Cano allowed members of a Venezuelan gang to live on his property. He resigned from his position as a county magistrate judge in March. The men allegedly said they did handyman jobs on the property and then moved into a guest house. Cano has denied any wrongdoing, saying he had no idea the men were allegedly linked to a Venezuelan gang, and he denies allegations that he supplied them with guns. Alex Stone, EBC News.
The Tennessee Titans going to be on the clock soon in round 2 of the NFL draft. They got their quarterback with the first overall pick last night in Cam Ward out of Miami. Channel 4's Lauren Walsh says he arrived in Nashville today.
It looked like a regular press conference. The Titans introduced their top pick, Cam Ward, and then Hall of Famer Warren Moon popped out. Take a look. He surprised Cam Ward with his blessing and that #1 jersey. That is Cam's college number, but more notably, it is Moon's retired number from his time with the Oilers. Ward told us he called up Warren Moon about a month ago, way before last night's draft, asking him if he could wear #1. Moon said he only decided about a day and a half ago to let Ward wear that number. So it's a special exchange from the past to the future.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT says there's a crash in Brentwood blocking the left lane, 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard. And then police say there is a crash blocking it's a stalled vehicle in the HOV lane. That's blocking things, 65 southbound, just past Old Hickory Boulevard there in Madison. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy giving you an update on one of my favorite parties of the year happening this May 31st. It is the 5th annual open house at the Glock store. Every year they throw open their doors and they welcome all of Nashville to come and join the fun. The open house is pretty famous for its incredible raffles. This year they're going to be nonstop all day long, giving you the best chance ever to win some of the best gear available, including a custom Glock handgun at the Glock store. And even if you don't win a raffle, there's incredible deals on all things Glock, including Glocks. Deals so good that you have to be there to believe them. They're also going to have a brand new line of full auto rental rifles available for a little machine gun fun. I have done this, and it is fabulous. You need to do it yourself. Both 9mm and 5.56. More details to come as the party gets closer, but suffice it to say you need to save the date. I will be there, and I want to see you. Come by and say hi. Glock Store's 5th annual open house, minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, especially on May 31st. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're about to get into an opportunity for you to ask questions of a legal expert. His name is Jay St. Clair. It is Fri-Jay in progress on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll defer to your telephone calls momentarily, but I promised that I would ask this question. Larry has written in, and he wants to know how fast Jay's Z06 will go. Jay, how fast will your Z06 go?
Yeah, 170 miles an hour. I've never had it there. The straightaways at Barber aren't long enough, to get up to full speed. Fastest I've been at Barber is 120. Here, Road Atlanta's got a long straightaway, and the C5 guys we talk about, and they say you could get to about 150 there. So I may have to try that out.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, it'll go 170.
It'll go as fast. That's about as fast as you want. I mean, for me,
it's funny, Matt, because when I was racing out of Birmingham, and the straightaways there are 120 yards long, and there's a football field. So you can't go that fast. And top of the people ask me, well, how fast would you go? I say, top speed's about 125. And they say, wow, does that seem fast? And my answer is, well, not when the guy in front of you is going 126. Because every lap you see him pulling about another half car length ahead.
Getting a little bit further away, away. You're like, man, I'm going slow.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fast because it's all relative. It's all relative to what's going on around you.
Well, the opportunity that I had at Talladega to go out on that track, and you think that it would just be a freaky sensation, and you've been on some of those bigger tracks, Jay. You mentioned the relativity because the track is so huge.
Right.
You just don't feel like you're going as fast as you truly
it's
are.
like jumping out of an airplane at 12,000 feet. It's like I cannot be jumping out of an airplane at 12,000 feet up.
No.
It's like a cartoon.
You were a lot more afraid standing on top of the Hoover Dam than you were jumping out of that airplane.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't real.
That's right. It's fake. David is up next with a question for our man Jay St. Clair on Fri-Jay. David, you're up. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, I got a question. I got convicted for selling marijuana in 1984, and I was trying to buy a fire gun or a firearm.
Yeah.
And, I need to get my record expunged.
Right.
I've already talked to my attorney who represented me in the case, who's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine before he got his law degree. I worked with him during summers when I was in high school. Anyway, I talked to him recently, but I wanted to see what you thought.
Well, my advice is talk to your friend. You're going to need a lawyer to get this done, David. There is a way to get it done, but you would never get it done by yourself. It's complicated, It's technical, and you need to have somebody that has done this successfully. And so you've already done what I would advise you to do, and that is to talk to a lawyer. And the perfect lawyer to do it would be the one who represents you in the case. If he says, Yep. No, you're right where you need to be. And if he says that, he'll do it, you're going to have to pay him, but it's worth it. And, lawyers don't work for free. Well, not knowingly anyway. But if he says, well, I'm not the right person for that, then ask him, okay, I appreciate you telling me that. Tell me who is. So you are already headed down the path you want to be headed down, David.
Okay, I just waiting on to return my call. I'm sure there's other people who want to talk to you.
Well, so David, thank you, brother.
More your time.
Hey, look, call me back and let me know how it goes. Let us know how it goes,
stay with
David.
him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appreciate you, David. Thank you so much. Mike is next in Mount Juliet with a question for our man, Jay St. Clair. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
A real quick question. I'll make it as fast as I can. I've got a really good friend that's living in Kentucky in a rental property, and the rental property is a little iffy. Like there's been some holes in the floor and some disrepair, and she recently broke her foot falling through one of these holes in the floor. And it's a bad situation, and now her landlord has taped a scrap piece of paper, cardboard, to her front door that says evicted. And I just can't believe that that's legal, but I figured
No,
I'd
it's
trust
not.
you. So
No, it's not legal, Mike, but she needs to move out of there.
well, she's definitely doing that, but
Well, I wouldn't worry
she
about the
can't do
piece
it
of
like
paper.
she's got a
But,
broken
yeah,
foot now. She can't work.
Yeah, well, she may be able to sue them for the broken foot.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were calling about, Mike. I mean,
Right.
I would love to do that. Yeah.
Well, let me. I'm getting ahead of the. Tell me how I can help you, Mike.
Does she have any legal recourse to, get compensated for it or just stay here until she can find someplace else to go?
No, yes, she can sue the land. She can sue the landlord for having a dangerous situation in the rental property. She can sue that, and she just needs to get a lawyer to do that. But in the meantime, my advice to her is she needs to find another place to live. She doesn't, particularly once she sues the guy. So two things she needs to be doing. Yep. First thing she needs to do is get a lawyer to represent her in that personal injury case. Second thing is find another place to live and move out as soon as you can.
Okay. Well,
Mike, thanks. Go ahead. Sorry.
She's called a couple of attorneys in the Kentucky area, and they're all telling her that the landlord has all the power in this situation, and she's screwed.
She's got to keep looking.
Yeah, I mean, and Mike, thank you for the call. I mean, Jay, there are renters' rights.
That's right.
Each state. I mean, you can't just. Your landlord can't come over and say, "Hey, you're evicted. Get out tomorrow." I mean, that's.
No, that's right. The reason lawyers don't want to take this case, man, is it doesn't have a lot of money in it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so they make up these excuses.
Right.
But that's why it's not a big injury, and it's going to take a lot of time to do it, and she may end up just having to file a lawsuit herself.
Well, good luck, Mike. Let us know how it goes. Let's get to one more on the phones. I've got several questions from the Super Text line, which you can get to, 615-737-9986. But first up is AJ out of Nashville. AJ, you're on with Jay St. Clair. What's going on, AJ?
Afternoon, folks. I'm going to make it really quick. We noticed some mold in our apartment, and we did tell our apartment office folks, and they took their sweet time to bring somebody. About 3 weeks after we told them about the mold, they brought somebody. They took the drywalls apart. They sprayed something that made us leave the house. They replaced a couple of windows that were just full of mold. One of the windows is still there. There is mold at the door. So I don't know. What should I do about this? Can I take any legal actions against these people? The lease is under my sister's name, so we are allowed to. So I don't know if that's something that would complicate it or not, but.
No, you can do something about it. It sounds like they're trying to solve the problem, but they hadn't worked it. Well, the first thing I would do is just talk with your landlord and say, look, we appreciate what you've done, but you hadn't done enough. Here's what we would need to get done, and can you let me know if you're going to do that, and if you are, when? I would first have the conversation with the landlord, then tell them that, look, we don't want to make a bigger issue about this than it is, but we can't continue to live here. Have that conversation with them. Maybe that'll prompt them to action. But if it doesn't, then yes, you have rights. They have a responsibility to make rental property habitable and not dangerous to the renters. And so, yes, you could pursue that claim. You could do it yourself or hire a lawyer. And what I would do is try to find some lawyers that say they do this kind of work and talk to them and see if they'd be willing to represent you.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, AJ,
good luck,
thank you.
AJ.
Yeah, good luck with that. On the topic of citizenship, Jay, 8119 writes, and we touched on this last week, and there's a lot of interest in it. How is it that illegals get due process, writes 8119? Why a citizenship test and a citizenship oath? What's the point of that if they're considered citizens? How was Obama able, for the most part, to bypass due process? I would disagree with some of the characterization of that text, but the you touched on this last week, and I thought it was such a great answer. The Constitution says uses a couple of different words.
That's right, and there's a very important distinction between the two of them. In some places in the Constitution, it talks about rights of citizens, in other places of the Constitution, particularly the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, says that all persons have the right to due process of law. And so that's how illegal aliens have due process rights. It's in the Constitution. Now, that's not what they had in mind when they wrote it. What they had in mind, frankly, were former slaves. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But that's the way it reads, and that's the way it's going to be interpreted. So the real question is, what process are they due? And it's different for aliens than for citizens. United States citizens have greater due process rights than aliens do. They have some, but not much. I mean, for example, this goomer they're making a big deal about in El Salvador, or wherever he is now. They could bring him back, have a hearing that'll last an hour, man, and then they could say, okay, we're going to deport you.
Right.
Well, they have given him due process, or give him as much time as he wants to put on all the evidence he wants. And at the conclusion of the hearing, the judge bangs the gavel and says, I'm going to order you deported. Well, he just got his due process. So this whole thing is, and the law gets this way a lot, Matt, is kind of form over substance. But, form matters. And he was supposed to be entitled to a hearing, and he, they're saying he didn't get one. It kind of reminds me of my favorite line from a Western. Oh, I can't remember the name of the movie, but this guy's gotten arrested out in some unfriendly town, and he's talking to the sheriff and says, well, what's going to happen to me? He says, son, we're going to give you a fair trial followed by a first-class hanging. Well, he's getting processed. He got a fair trial followed by a first-class hanging. Not that the outcome was predetermined.
Well, as I get older, Jay, I'm predisposed to look at the negative, but I find myself looking at the positives a little bit more as I get older. And I reminded my listening audience that in the grand scheme of things, with as much, if you are in favor of some of the immigration policies of Donald Trump, and most in the audience are, most Americans, frankly, are.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
Well, if you're in favor of his immigration policy, Donald Trump is doing most of this right, because if those that are against him, those Democrats that are going to be anti-Trump no matter what, if the only example that they can find is, as you refer to him, this goober down in El Salvador, well, then the vast, then I frankly know that the rest of the cases are going as they should go. Because
if that's the only ball they can find, they're throwing a lot of strikes.
Yep, that's right.
By the way, that movie was Silverado, Brother Jay.
That's it. Thank you. I knew you'd have that, Ken.
Oh, man. Well, Jay, you know how much we love it, brother. Hit them straight over the weekend. Be safe. I don't expect you're going near Talladega Sunday, are you?
No. I watched the race, but no. We went down there, 8 or 10 years ago. I mean, the crowds aren't nearly as bad now. But no, I've had, I went to Talladega the first time when I was 15 years old, man.
Wow.
15 years old. So that's how long racing.
Well, you remember back when it wasn't the Allison backstretch, it was the Allison grandstands, and they filled it.
Oh, I know, absolutely. When we went down, I went down with my best buddy. I was 15, he was 16. We drove down from Huntsville, and we could park in the infield for $5 per vehicle. Didn't matter if you had one person or 50. It was per vehicle. And that's where I watched my first Talladega race.
That's awesome. Well, enjoy watching over the weekend, and we love you, and we'll talk to you again next week, brother.
Love you, brother.
All right, there's Jay St. Clair. That is our edition of Fri-Jay on this April 25th, 52 after the hour. Back in a moment on Super Talk. We're in the midst of spring, folks, and Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, they're ready with all of the fertilizers, seeds, pre-emergents, and herbicides that you need to make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood. Get your property ready, not just for spring, but for the busy summer months. You want to enjoy that lawn. You want to enjoy your property, and you do so with Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Now, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply gives you Ferris suspension mowers. You wouldn't drive your automobile without suspension. Why would you mow without suspension? If you're looking to do it the way the pros do it, if you're looking to get that grass and that lawn cut the way the professionals cut it, you need a mower from Ferris. Find out the Ferris difference when you go to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. They have 7 different locations, all to serve you: Nashville, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood Mower, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. You can find them online at DickensSupply.com. That's DickensSupply.com. Go where the pros go and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply.
Protests have started over the arrest of a judge for allegedly hiding an illegal immigrant. And authorities ask you keep an eye out for a blue Subaru, which might be carrying an escaped inmate out of Kentucky. And the overall number one pick in the NFL draft has arrived in Nashville. All this and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver. It is just before that 5 o'clock hour. We'll hear some of those headlines coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'd love to see you. We're out at Twin Creeks Marina, just down from Drafts and Watercrafts. They opened up last week, and man, oh man, the food is so good. Come see Scotty and the rest of his crew. We're going to talk to Scotty a little bit later on. And I told Scotty to hold off on the Bushwhackers until at least to the 6 o'clock hour. At least to the 6 o'clock hour. That's as... that's all I'll say about all of that. One way or the other, we'd love to see you. You can judge for yourself whether what did you say they were? Smoky Rose? Is that what you said? Yeah. My shorts are the suggestions are Smoky Rose, salmon, Dusty Rose, pardon me. Dusty Rose, salmon, or pink. And how dare anyone say that I'm wearing pink shorts. 3989 says the only NASCAR race I've ever been to was Talladega. We were on the 10th row and left with burnt rubber all over us. Yeah. It's interesting. NASCAR races, especially at the bigger tracks, you're better the higher up you go, right? At normal events or venues, whether it's a football game or a concert, the closer you get, the better. At a NASCAR event, the lower you go, the less you can see the entirety of the track, especially for those bigger tracks. And at Talladega, the higher up, the better, and you don't get so much burnt rubber and little rubber flakes all over you. But boy, oh boy, you leave there, and you will absolutely smell like a rubber tree. All right, it's 5 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And the protests have started in Wisconsin over the arrest of that Milwaukee judge who allegedly hit an illegal immigrant charged with a violent crime from ICE.
What do we do when judges are under attack?
Stand up, fight back. Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi is speaking out.
Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan is charged with helping a defendant evade arrest by the ICE agents who planned to take him into custody just outside her courtroom. An FBI complaint alleges Dugan had the man and his lawyer exit through the jury door. He was caught on foot outside the building. Attorney General Pam Bondi tells ABC News.
She let a criminal defendant walk out a door. She helped them. She obstructed justice.
Dugan's attorney says the judge looks forward to being exonerated. Her arraignment is set for next month. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah, this defendant, who is an illegal immigrant, Eduardo Ruiz, appeared before Judge Dugan on charges of misdemeanor battery and abuse. And in New Mexico,
former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano resigned from his position in March. He's now been arrested along with his wife, accused of knowingly allowing members of a Venezuelan gang to live on their property. They were arrested by ICE agents on Thursday night. 3 Venezuelan nationals were arrested earlier this year on their property. They had allegedly been living in a guest house. The former judge is also accused of providing the men with guns, something he denies. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Right now in Tennessee, Kentucky authorities ask you keep an eye out for a blue Subaru. It's the vehicle authorities say escaped inmate 50-year-old Christian Jones was last seen in after walking away from a work detail in Simpson County. They say he was headed toward Tennessee. Stewart County right now, law enforcement investigating after a car drove into the water at the Cumberland City Ferry. The ferry was shut down for the investigation. And in Sumner County, volunteer firefighter Christopher Roach is charged with arson and vandalism. Authorities say Roach intentionally set fire to several vehicles in Millersville yesterday. He was booked into the Sumner County Jail on a $100,000 bond. And the overall pick in the NFL draft last night, introduced to Titans fans today in Nashville, Cam Ward was surprised by Hall of Famer, former Oilers quarterback Warren Moon, who gave his blessing to Ward to wear the number 1 jersey, which was retired.
I didn't know this was going on, but, I knew this was going to happen. I'm excited that, Mr. Moon was able to, bless me with giving me this number. I think to me the number would never mean anything. It's all about the plays you make on the field, so I'm ready for this opportunity with my teammates.
And as for Mr. Moon,
it's a number that I wore for a lot of different reasons that were personal to me. I think I wore it at a very high level.
and it's been out of circulation now since '94. So for it to be revived again from a kid that I have a lot of respect for, I have no problem with that. I'm excited to see what he does with it.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, Brentwood got a crash. Old Hickory Boulevard at Oaks Drive Health Park. That's going to be just east of 65. Then on 24 eastbound in Cedar Hill, THP reporting 2 crashes right before Maxey Road. Brentwood got the right shoulder blocked by a crash, according to TDOT. This is going to be 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is the Matt Murphy Show on location this afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome in. It is officially the weekend for many of you. If you're getting off at 5 o'clock on this Friday, welcome to your weekend, 7 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased you've decided to join us this afternoon. We are broadcasting, as they say, live and on location from Twin Creeks Marina, just down from Drafts and Watercrafts. Folks are coming in, having some dinner at Drafts and Watercrafts and enjoying the beauty that is Tim's Ford Lake. We'd love to see you. I have several of you have asked the question on the Super Text line, and you're welcome to give us a question or thoughts or comments. 615-737-9986. Several of you are asking, have we seen Bob? We've not seen Bob. Bob, you are welcome to stop by. I would buy Bob a drink if Bob came by. Maybe we could mend fences over a bushwhacker or 2 or 8. If you don't know the Bob story, well, I won't get into it now, but the Bob story is a pretty good one. By the way, is Ken Weaver back there, Chris?
I'm here, Brother Murphy.
Ken Weaver, have you heard what I don't know if the Pope remains in state today. The funeral's tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have you heard about what the Vatican had to request based on the number of people that were doing this particular thing as they viewed the Pope?
Taking selfies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of world? I don't mean to laugh, but
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, that's macabre.
That is next level macabre, my friend.
Yeah. That's us standing by the body of Pope Francis.
Hey, guys, come here. Let's show us. We want to show you some pictures from our trip to Italy.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at there. There's the fountains. Look at here. Here's the Vatican. Look at there. There's a dead guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't,
What if any of them were smiling?
Yes.
Goodness.
We need more. It's one of the reasons I love the Augusta National and the Masters. We need more no cell phone zones in this world, and I imagine they're wishing that they had no cell phone zones there.
Yeah.
That's bad. Anyway, more on that maybe a little bit later on. We've got more stories, more fun stuff to talk to you about. I wish that we had better news to tell you regarding Davidson County and what is to come. We are about a week away, I guess, from Mayor Freddie O'Connell's State of the Metro address. That happens on May 1st, and I would remind you that on May 1st, Freddie O'Connell, the mayor of Nashville, is scheduled to come on our radio show to talk to us about that address that he will deliver previous in the day. I believe the address is set for 10 o'clock in the morning, and he will be on with us at around 3 o'clock that afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. To speak about what we expect from the mayor's office, we welcome back to the show Ben Cunningham. You know Ben from his participation, really formation of the Nashville Tea Party. He has been a watchdog advocate against increased taxation in and around the metro area and all across the state of Tennessee for many, many years, and it's a pleasure to have Ben back on the show. Ben, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hey, Matt. Boy, I'm envious. Out there on the lake, are you?
Man, I'll tell you, this is it's beautiful country out here, Ben. If you've not been to Tim's Ford lately, you got to get out here.
I have been. It is gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Well, I don't think they're trying to tax people to death out here either. I think that taxes remain relatively low. Frankly, I wish we had some better news to talk about. I do believe that there are, and I know you're a part of it, organizations that are forming, groups that are attempting to present a unified effort against what is expected to come. But just give us, for those that haven't heard the idea about what we expect to come out of Davidson County and the mayor's proposed budget, and then we'll talk in a minute about what we can do about it. But give us the lay of the land, Ben.
Yeah, we have some breaking news, as a matter of fact. Emily Evans, who's a former Metro Council lady and probably the preeminent expert on Metro finances, has it from a very, very good inside source that we're probably looking at a 30% tax increase. We were thinking it would be 20. She's saying her sources are telling her that it's likely going to be 30%. And of course, Freddie is still playing games with the numbers. Today at his press conference, his press avail, he said the rate will be lower than the rate this year, which of course means nothing. All that means is that he's going to increase taxes less than 45%, which is the amount that the values have gone up. If the rate stayed the same, then your tax bill would go up 45%. Now, they'll reassess the property and they'll lower the rate by state law. But, of course, that doesn't obligate Metro Council at all. They can set the new rate anywhere they want to. And today he said it's going to be lower than the current rate. But, unfortunately, no member of the press followed up and said, well, how much is it going to be? Like I say, all that does is say it's going to be 45% or less. That's the only indication that he's given us. And like I say, Emily indicates it's like 30%.
Well, and this is the way that they do, and it's disingenuous, as you well know, Ben. And we've been trying to, and I know that it's a little bit complicated, but we've been trying to describe it this way to people. When your assessment, it's the amount of money coming out of your pocket, whether the percentage rate goes up or not. We're talking about the amount of money that people are paying on their property taxes, and based on the assessment going up, the state prevents the county to basically hide behind that assessment increase on the property value, and so they zero it back out. And Freddie is, in effect, increasing property taxes because the amount that people will pay will absolutely go up if he has his 30% increase. Am I correct?
Absolutely. It's like you said. It's thank goodness we have this law that is basically makes them disclose, what the rate's going to be. But you're right; it's what you write that check for. And if he raises rates 30%, the check you write will go up at least 30%. So it is. They're playing with numbers, and unfortunately, we don't have a local press that's savvy enough to really press him and say, "Hey, how much is this going to be?" We will only find out on May 1st, next Thursday. And if anybody in Davidson County wants to help, we sure need your help in showing up at the main library at 9:30 a.m. next Thursday, May 1st, and we're going to have a rally and show opposition to this tax increase so that we don't get in a position in Davidson County like we have in Portland and Los Angeles and Chicago and Memphis, where you just hollow out the local population, and the only people that can afford to stay in Davidson County are the super rich or the very poor who can't afford to move out. That's what's going to happen if we let these liberal politicians keep raising rates. We had a 34% increase in 2021, 34%, and it looks like he's going to try to raise it another 30%. That's 60%. And we just can't let them do that. We can't let them drive people out of Davidson County, and that's essentially what's happening. If you look at the migration stats, people are moving out of Davidson County. I've talked to several people this week that said, "Yeah, I'm going to move out of Davidson County if this thing goes through." And of course, what that does is it decreases the tax base, which puts even more pressure in the future for more tax increases. So we've got to stop this thing, and if people will show up next Thursday at 9:30 a.m., I know it's a big ask to get people to drive downtown and park and come to the main entrance to the library, but it is extremely important that we get out there and show our opposition to this crazy 30% tax increase.
Well, and one would hope that it would have some impact, if not impact on the mayor's office, at very least impact with the Metro Council as they see groups of people that are organized against the proposal for a tax increase, because the council could do something about it. But as I was talking with Courtney Johnston about it earlier in the week, Ben, it's a difficult task to get the council to do anything about it, because sadly many people on the council agree with Freddie O'Connell, and even those that disagree with him, once he has proposed a budget, once he has set these numbers based on this tax increase, what you have to do is literally cut money from various departments in order to balance the budget at that point to get the tax increase rescinded. It's much more difficult, in other words, for the Metro Council to get it done than simply to vote it down. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and we've seen it time and time again. The only way this is going to happen is public pressure. The only way this is going to happen is if the citizens raise their voices. It happened 25 years ago with the income tax. It's happened many times before. I've sat in property tax council meetings across this state in the last 25 years, and the only time they will stop is when the people raise their voices and say, hell no. I've looked at my own personal budget, and I can't afford any more property taxes. I want you, my government, to cut spending. I don't want you to force me to cut my budget by raising my taxes. And you have to send that message loudly and clearly, and that's the only way they'll listen, is if you raise your voice as a citizen and say, you represent me, I don't want and I can't afford to have my property taxes raised.
We're talking with Ben Cunningham. He was one of the architects of the Nashville Tea Party way back in the day, and he continues to be a leading voice in terms of your advocacy regarding taxation in and around the metropolitan area. And Ben, I will commit to being there. I'm there next Thursday morning, 9:30.
Yes.
I'll be there standing
Yes.
beside you. I don't live in Davidson County. I'm currently in Wilson County, but I am looking for a place to live, and I mean this with all the bottom of my heart. We're renting right now in Mount Juliet. We are looking to buy, and if Davidson County raises property taxes, then Davidson County, they're not on the list. I mean, that's just it is a consideration for everyone moving into the metropolitan area. And what I've impressed upon folks, Ben, and I want to ask you about it, is, for those who live in Wilson or Sumner or Rutherford or in any of the surrounding counties that might not think that this has much to do with you, well, it does, because the people that are moving out of Davidson County are going to be moving into your community. And I understand that there can be good that comes out of that, but there can also be a strain in the community that comes out of that, because people are going to be fleeing Davidson County, especially our middle class.
And not only that, but it sets a precedent that these other county mayors and county councilmen in these other counties, they see what's going on in Davidson County. And if Davidson County can raise taxes 40%, it really tempts them to start raising their taxes. It really starts this chain reaction. And we've seen this before, and I've seen it time and again with counties where one county raises their rates and it kind of gives them permission in the other counties, the adjacent counties, to raise their rates. This will definitely spread into other counties if we let it go. I mean, again, this is a 34% tax increase 3 years ago, and they're going to increase taxes again. This is absurd, and we've got to stand up to it. And you can go to nationalteaparty.com, and you can RSVP for the event, or you can just show up. But, boy, we really need people to show up next Thursday at 9:30 a.m.
We do.
And this is at the entrance to the main public library downtown on 615 Church. We need your help.
Sally has written in on the super text line, and she has a question. Why the decision to meet at the library? Why not in front of the mayor's office? Ben?
Well, that's where the State of the Metro address is going to be, at the library. So that's what we're doing, is that's where all the press will be, and so we want to be there to send a loud and clear message at the same spot that Freddie's given his speech.
And I want to remind folks, and it just bears repeating, you and I have talked about it at various events that we've both attended, Ben, and you've talked about it on the show before, that don't think that if you rent in Davidson County that you're immune from property tax increases. I promise you're going to be popped at some point down the line, because the property ownership, they're not going to absorb that cost. And I just wanted you a chance to speak to that as well, Ben.
Absolutely, and we see that time and again. People say, "Well, I'm renting an apartment; it doesn't affect me." Oh, yes, it does. It affects every rental property, because that landlord has to pay those property taxes, and he's going to pass them through to you. He's going to pass every dime through to you, and you're going to be the one paying the property tax increase, not him. And we see that time and again. So please, if you're renting in Davidson County, don't think that this isn't going to affect you. It is going to affect you every cent. And if we let this property tax go through, increase, this is very early in Freddie's term. And I think his calculus is basically, okay, we're gonna do it this time, and people will forget about it when re-election comes around. But if he does it this time, he'll do it again next year. And we've got to stop it. We've got to raise our voices, and we've got to say to Freddie and the Metro Council, you've got to cut your budget. You've got to look at every line item in the $3.2 billion Metro budget, and you've got to look at it as carefully as we, as homeowners in Davidson County, as carefully as we look at our budgets. And when we don't have enough money, what do? We cut the budget, and that's what we're expecting you and Metro Council and the mayor to do, is to cut your budget.
When you're talking about, in a minute or so that we have left, Ben, when you're talking about property taxes, you're talking about all properties. Is this commercial as well?
Commercial,
right?
Residential, everything.
Well,
yeah,
and I would make the argument that it all rolls downhill. So if you, and not just business owners, But if you work in a business in Davidson County, if your ownership group takes a hit, they're going to figure out a way to get that money recouped in some form or fashion. I mean, it's going to impact people who work in Davidson County not probably as much as residents of Davidson County, but it's going to impact everybody in this community.
Absolutely. Everybody. And it's commercial properties too, warehousing, stores, anybody that owns real property in Davidson County is going to have a major, major hit. You got a major hit 3 years ago, and property tax revenues exploded. This is not like they don't have enough revenue. I mean, in 2021, when they did the 34% increase, property tax revenue exploded in Davidson County. They have plenty of money, and they want 30% more. It's absurd, and it's ridiculous, and the people have to raise their voice and say, no, we're not going to let you raise the taxes 30% on top of a 34% you just raised 3 years ago. We can't let them do this, and we've got to show up on Thursday and say, hell no, we're not going to let you do this.
And just in case people are confused, the state of the Metro address is scheduled to go off at 10 o'clock. Is that correct?
Right. And we're going to show up at 9 or 9:30, whatever. If you can get downtown, please, show up by 9 or 9:30 so we can be there holding signs as the Metro Council goes in, because all the folks will be there, the press will be there going in to hear the mayor's speech. So that's what we're trying to do is line up there and have our presence felt and say, hell no, we don't want this property tax increase.
Ben, I will be there with you, alongside you, and I hope to see thousands of our fellow Metro Nashvillians and Tennesseans protesting what is expected from the mayor's speech next Thursday. Thank you for your advocacy and your information on this subject. And if I don't talk to you before, Ben, we'll try to catch up with you Tuesday or Wednesday to remind folks about all of this. But we'll certainly see you on Thursday morning.
Great, Matt. Thanks so much for your help.
It's always a pleasure. There's Ben Cunningham. It's 25 after the hour. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did you know that late spring and summertime in Tennessee is the hardest season on your cooling system? Well, you probably could figure that out. That's kind of common sense, because if it's running more, it's going to put more of a strain on that system. If anything's going to break down or go wrong, it's likely to happen during the summertime, which is why it's so vital that you call Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling right now. And with Efficient, you get the maintenance done on your unit. Catch up on those issues and catch those issues before they happen in the summer. And with Efficient, you get the maintenance guarantee. It means that if they have to come back and repair something during the same season, in other words, if they have to come back to maintenance after maintenance to deal with your AC during the summertime, that service charge is completely waived for you. This is your Efficient Heating and Cooling maintenance guarantee. As always, keep in mind that when it comes to large repairs, when it comes to replacement, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and Efficient can offer you many various options to assist you. Efficient Heating and Cooling. Give them a call today. Go online at efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424 for Efficient.
Well, the protests have begun after the FBI arrested a sitting judge in Wisconsin for allegedly hiding an illegal immigrant from ICE. And the Tennessee Titans' new quarterback surprised at today's introductory press conference. These stories and more at 5:30. A Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I am fascinated with the stupidity of the political left nowadays. That they're going to protest the arrest of a judge that actively defied a legal order to apprehend an illegal alien and remove an illegal alien from the United States of America. Of course, this is Judge Hannah Dugan, Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge. And now folks are protesting because, well, they're angry and emotional and they don't like it and whatever. We'll continue to discuss. We'll get into nincompoops in the news coming up. I've got several other stories to tell you about, to include an update. I think it was Ken Weaver that mentioned the spotted lanternfly.
Yes, sir.
I've got an update on the spotted lanternfly. What to do if you find a spotted lanternfly besides killing it. Now, you're supposed to – don't eat it. We'll tell you what to do right after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. So the protests have started after the FBI arrested a judge in Milwaukee for allegedly hiding an illegal immigrant in the jury room from ICE agents who had an order of removal.
What do we do when judges are under attack?
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says Judge Dugan had that man and attorney exit through the jury door.
She let a criminal defendant walk out a door. She helped them. She obstructed justice.
He went before the judge on charges of battery and abuse. Then there's that former judge in New Mexico.
According to court documents, former Doña Ana County Judge Joel Cano allowed members of a Venezuelan gang to live on his property. He resigned from his position as a county magistrate judge in March. The men allegedly said they did handyman jobs on the property and then moved into a guest house. Cano has denied any wrongdoing, saying he had no idea the men were allegedly linked to a Venezuelan gang, and he denies allegations that he supplied them with guns. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Here in Nashville, the Titans going to be on the clock soon in round 2 of the NFL draft, and they got their quarterback with the first overall pick last night in Cam Ward. Channel 4's Lauren Walsh says he arrived in Nashville today.
It looked like a regular press conference. The Titans introduced their top pick, Cam Ward, and then Hall of Famer Warren Moon popped out. Take a look. He surprised Cam Ward with his blessing and that #1 jersey. That is Cam's college number, but more notably, it is Moon's retired number from his time with the Oilers. Ward told us he called up Warren Moon about a month ago, way before last night's draft, asking him if he could wear #1. Moon said he only decided about a day and a half ago to let Ward wear that number. So it's a special exchange from the past to the future.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, drivers in Antioch, be on the lookout. Police say there's a crash. Haywood Lane at Bakertown Road. Then in Brentwood, got a crash on the right shoulder. TDOT says it's 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Murfreesboro, guess where this one is? 24 eastbound at New Salem Highway, reported by TDOT. Back up to Cedar Hill, Tennessee. Highway Patrol reporting 2 crashes. 24 eastbound before Maxey Road. And then Pleasant View in Cheatham County. TDOT says there's a crash 24 westbound before Springfield Ashland City Highway. Creve Hall got a stalled vehicle on the left shoulder, 65 southbound before Harding Place. And then a crash reported now by police 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. Traffic and weather. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I've been talking about it for weeks, and it's finally here. Ladies and gentlemen, the buying event of the season is at Genesis Diamonds. Today, tomorrow, and Sunday. It's the jewelry buying event that everyone waits for annually. The Genesis Diamonds, big event of the year, 3 days only. Unbelievable springtime store-wide savings, up to 35% off some items, and the selection is like double the norm. They really do stock up during this sale, and it's more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place. That's the norm at Genesis Diamonds, either in Green Hills or Cool Springs. But this time of year and for this sale, it's even more than that. Rings and earrings and pendants and bracelets and bands and stunning fashion jewelry you will not find anywhere else. You can get special pricing on natural as well as lab-grown diamonds. It's the event where the Genesis staff is told, let's let everything go. If you have any special event coming up this spring or summer, engagement, anniversary, birthday, new baby, whatever it might be, this is the time to buy that amazing gift at a huge discount. Store-wide savings up to 35%. There's only one catch. It's today, it's tomorrow, and it's Sunday. 3 days only. Green Hills and Cool Springs, Genesis Diamonds. Make sure you tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to Genesis Diamonds. Let's speak for a moment about men of valor. As a matter of fact, I just spoke to a loyal listener of Super Talk 99.7 WTN who stopped by, and he said, I appreciate the work that you do with men of valor. Mentioned that some years ago that he found himself on the wrong side of the law, and he appreciated those organizations that helped him out. He was in a different state, but he talked about the Men of Valor organization and the wonderful work that they do in the state of Tennessee. They're funded by people like you. Families, churches, your support allows Men of Valor to win over men in the prison system to discipleship, and the discipleship of Jesus Christ helps them re-enter society as men of integrity, truly as men of valor. In 2024, Men of Valor ministered to well over 3,000 men within the prison system. 90% or more of the men that go into the prison system will get out at some point or another. What type of men do you want coming out? Givers or takers? Let's choose givers with Men of Valor. Men of Valor, go to movministry.com to find out more information. That's movministry.com. Stop by and say hello to them, and when you do, tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the wonderful organization online at Men of Valor. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's pay off the T's, and then we'll get to nincompoops in the news. Chris Webber, Ken Weaver, and Matt Murphy provides the nincompoops, or the nincompoopry, I should say. And you get to judge which nincompoop is your favorite and vote for nincompoop of the day. So, new sightings of the spotted lanternfly have been reporting in Tennessee, and officials, and Ken Weaver has done this earlier in the week, but officials are reminding you of exactly what to do if you have any sighting. The Tennessee Division of Natural Areas. Who knew?
I had no idea there was something like that. Of natural areas.
So we have government oversight of natural areas. So what do? Just go out there and sit around and look around?
They get a hat. They get a hat and a whistle.
Oh, they do I bet they do get a whistle, kid.
That's natural.
Hey,
Stay off that.
Hey, that's fake. That's phony. That's not natural. Need to stop all that. The Tennessee Division of Natural Areas is asking residents to report any sightings of the invasive spotted lanternfly, an invasive species native to China, India, Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam. It's been seen in Tennessee this spring. The Tennessee Division, I can't stop laughing when I say this, the Tennessee Division of Natural Areas shared that. Well,
you're in a natural area today, Brother Murphy.
I am in a natural.
You better be careful with that big gummy bear.
I better be careful with this gummy bear. I don't think that gummy bear is natural. I think it might get confiscated. I hope I don't see an officer from the Division of Natural Areas around. They shared that it recently received a report of the spotted lanternfly from the Tennessee Division of Forestry. Well, it's nice that the Tennessee Division of Natural Areas and the Tennessee Division of Forestry, they're talking.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's cooperation.
Ken, silly me, I would have thought that the forest was a natural area. I would have thought that, but I would have been clearly wrong if they have to have two different divisions, right?
That's right.
Then they must be different. The first sighting of the spotted lanternfly in Tennessee was in Davidson County in 2023.
Uh-oh.
Other sightings reported in Wilson County. Once established, the species spreads rapidly through new areas. Apparently, there's a lot of lanternfly relations that go on, and they move. Let's see, the long-distance spread of the lanternfly comes through people who move infested material or items containing, I'm quoting now, egg masses.
Ooh.
Well, that's the last thing I want to see. Tennessee is reported to be one of the 18 states to see these insects. The problem with the spotted lanternfly, it's an invasive plant hopper. First detected in 2014. It is known as a sap-sucking insect that feeds on water and nutrients in plants. It gathers in large numbers on flat surfaces and on host plants. Adult spotted lanternflies are prominent in late summer and early fall. If you see one, they're about 1.5 inches wide with spotted and red wings. Spotted lanternflies gather in large numbers, and I guess you're told to kill them?
Yes. Take a picture of them and kill them.
And then and the eggs hatch in the spring and early summer, and they're usually seen between July and November. And as Ken we've got another department weighing in, Ken.
Okay.
We have the Department of the Division of Natural Areas, the Division of Forestry, now the Department of Agriculture.
Okay, all right.
Department number 3, they're saying that people who see the fly or an egg mass should take photos, fill out a pest identification form, destroy the insect or egg mass by stomping on them or dousing them with rubbing alcohol. You set them on fire. I mean, that's me. I said that. They didn't say that. I mean, but if you're using rubbing alcohol, couldn't you just light that stuff on fire? Yeah. I mean, might as well have some fun.
Well, I tell you what'd be fun is to catch one and then throw it in a fire ant bed.
And watch that. Oh, that would be fun.
Take a picture of that and send it off to the Division of Natural Areas.
Or take a picture of that and show it to the other spotted lanternflies in the area, and they'll self-deport. Y'all better get your asses back to China. Otherwise, these fire ants are coming for you. Fire ants are from the South, baby. We don't play that.
No.
I know this sounds like nincompoopery, but it's not officially. It's time for Nincompoop in the News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's do it.
Nincompoops in the news.
Oh, my goodness. The Division of Natural Areas. Oh, I tried to divide my natural areas one time in college. It didn't go well. I got a rash.
Got a bad case of the monkey butt.
Say less. Say much less.
Yeah. I've not even had a bushwhacker yet. Wait, that's what the Division of Natural Areas was. Anyway, so It's time for Nincompoops in the News, our opportunity to look around the globe, around the country, around the state of Tennessee, and find the Nincompoops where they live and breathe. And I'll tell you what, I'm on location. I'll go first if y'all will let me.
Do it.
Go for it.
I have not had a good Florida story in a long, long time. And I know how much we love them.
Oh, yeah.
This story comes from Clearwater, Florida. And we're going to call this an instance of gray on gray crime. I point you in the direction of an 88-year-old woman who's accused of fleeing the scene after plowing her SUV into a 77-year-old victim who was riding on an electric mobility scooter. The 77-year-old victim was thrown from her electric vehicle and hospitalized for her injuries. It gets worse.
Wow.
Investigators say Carolyn Segrist was driving in the parking lot of a Sam's Club in Clearwater, Florida, around 8:30 in the morning when the crash occurred just earlier this week. Segrist, cops charge, struck Laverne Hampton and her mobility scooter in front of her Buick Envision. Hampton was thrown from the scooter and hospitalized with her injuries, according to the arrest report. Segrist, who is seen in a photo, and I got to tell you, man, if y'all look this up, you can find it at, I don't want to give away my source for some of these stories, but it's thesmokinggun.com. You can see Ms. Segrist. She's looking quite fetching in her bright orange jumper, but her hair is beautiful. I suggest to you, men, that Ms. Segrist had been to the beauty parlor to get a wash, perm, and set either morning of or day before she began plowing over her fellow Clearwater residents in her SUV. Segrist, quote, did not stop at the scene of the crash to render aid or exchange information. As a matter of fact, she went on home.
Well, she got to catch her stories.
She had a 5 o'clock reservation for dinner.
I mean, I'm sure 5 o'clock. What?
4:30, pardon me.
Yeah, running late. 4 hours after the incident, police arrested the retired octogenarian for leaving the scene of a crash involving injury, a felony. Segrist was booked in the county jail and scheduled for a court appearance. Segrist lives about 4 miles from the Sam Club and a condominium she purchased with her husband in 1987. In 2023, her only booking was to plead guilty to careless driving that resulted in a crash. For that, she was fined $166. I feel like she's not going to get off with a sentence quite as light this time around.
Yeah. Might be time to take the keys.
Might be time for daughter, son, grandson, granddaughter to take the keys from Miss Segrist. We do report that Laverne Hampton is expected to make a full.
Well, that's good. Yeah. That's good.
Miss Segrist does have quite the do, though.
I mean, I'm telling you see this video?
Boy.
Yeah. I mean, man. I mean, I'm telling you, wash, perm, and set.
Yeah.
That's
my grandmama went every other Friday, whether she needed to or not. Wore one of those hair nets.
Yes, sir.
To sleep. Mr. Weaver, I nominate you to go second.
All right, boys. You guys might know where this is, you guys being from Georgia. Devin Davis has bonded out of the Douglas County Jail on conditions that he does not return to Arbor Place Mall or approach his alleged victim. The 35-year-old has been charged with simple battery after allegedly licking and sucking the hair of an 18-year-old woman.
Oh, no.
He did not know. That's weird, said shopper Dan Shower.
A little bit.
I didn't know anybody licks hair.
Except Joe Biden.
Watch it, Jack.
Man, if Joe was in office, he'd get a pardon.
Douglas County's Arbor Place Mall, one of the larger shopping destinations there in West Georgia, still attracts shoppers regionally, including the Shower family from Alabama. I can tell you, I'd keep my distance from him and keep my wife and kids from him, he says. Local shopper Joyce Taylor called the incident gross. I probably would have responded in a way that I would have been in jail today, she says. Still, she doesn't have a problem shopping at the mall and will continue to do so. I like how they started making this story about the mall.
Y'all keep coming to the mall, please.
They probably got a big old ad in the paper there. You have to be vigilant and watch your surroundings and be careful, says Taylor. I've never had a problem coming here. Meanwhile, authorities have charged Davis with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. I guess nothing, though, for licking and sucking on that girl's hair. Oh, no, wait a minute. Simple. Yes, he got charged with simple battery.
Battery?
Yeah.
For sucking on some hair?
Sucking on some hair.
That's just
Mall
gross.
officials would like everyone to know that this normally doesn't happen in the mall.
That's right.
We don't welcome that kind around here.
The hair and safety of our customers is priority number one.
I bet he wouldn't have done it if it was Miss Segrist. I bet he wouldn't have been licking on that hair.
No. And one of our listeners noted that it was ironic that poor Ms. Hampton was in a Dodge.
Didn't work.
Didn't work, apparently. Mr. Weber.
Mine comes from my down under, mate. That was my best Australian. 48-year-old.
No, hold on, wait. One more time. Give it one more
down
time.
under, mate.
That's actually pretty good.
That's all I got. All right, 48-year-old Joanna Kinman was an employee at an animal shelter in the southeastern state of Victoria when 2 dogs vomited up toes and other remains in February of 2024. The dogs, which had been surrendered to the shelter, had eaten parts of their owner's body after he died of natural causes.
Oh, no.
Well, Miss Kinman reportedly told police that she retrieved the toes from the trash bin, took them home, and put them in a jar of formaldehyde. She appeared to believe that she could make as much as 400 Australian dollars by selling them online. Well,
We got to sell his toes, mate.
Police got a tip. They arrived at her home. The woman showed them those toes and other items that she had been keeping, including an alligator claw, a bird skull, a guinea pig trotter. I don't even know what that is. And her children's teeth.
Goodness.
Prosecutors in this case said that she was an active member of a Facebook group called Bone Buddies Australia, on which specimens are bought, sold, and traded. This is not a joke. She pleaded guilty to offensive conduct involving human remains, and she faced a maximum sentence of 2 years in prison. But the judge, I guess, felt a little sorry for her, maybe. I don't know. I guess she didn't have a prior record, but she was sentenced to 18 months non-custodial sentence. I guess that's kind of like probation, and 150 hours of community service. Her attorney told the court that his client regretted her actions full-heartedly, noting that she lost her job and had been publicly shamed online by the community that was, quote, unsurprisingly repulsed by her behavior.
Well, yeah, you got toes in a jar. There's going to be a little community shaming, you think?
People are weird, man.
I wonder which toes it was. It was. Like it was the big, like a pinky toe and a big toe.
Well, this little piggy went to market.
This little piggy
got regurgitated by the dog.
This little piggy. What was it? A guinea pig what?
Trotter.
A guinea? I got to look that up.
I'm looking it up
sure
right
it's like an Australian slang for something,
but refers to a guinea pig's foot.
Oh.
Well, she had something with feet, didn't she?
Wow.
A guinea pig trotter refers to the feet of a guinea pig. A trotter, commonly used to describe the feet of pigs, sometimes used to refer to the feet of other animals, including the guinea pig. That woman had a dead animal foot fetish, which is very specific.
Weird.
Goodness. You ought to see what I'm looking at.
Oh, my goodness.
You didn't look up Bud Lightyear again, did you?
No. Big old plate of pig's feet. It looks like a big old bowl of pig's feet and chili.
Well, that sounds all right.
I tell you what, boys.
Might be able to get down with some of that.
I lived in East Texas for about 5 years out of my life, real close to Louisiana. I mean, right there by the border. In the grocery stores, you could get pig's feet, pig brains, cow tongue, all that stuff.
You ever had any tongue, Ken?
Yes, sir.
I have too.
And it wasn't bad.
See, I was not impressed.
I had pig's feet, too.
I've never had pig's feet.
Strangely enough, it was cooked by a neighbor of mine in Oklahoma who happened to be from Louisiana.
Man.
And it was good.
I've eaten a lot of things. I've never gone pig's feet, and I drew the line when I was 15 years old at Chitlins.
Yeah.
Ugh. Boy, those things are vile smelling.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I never seen pig's feet in chili, though.
No, you don't get a lot of that. There you go. That's Nincompoops in the News. By the way, I took advantage of this free Wi-Fi I've got out here, and I looked up Buzz Lightyear.
Ooh.
What'd you find?
Well, I mean, am I supposed to be seeing an X-ray of a guy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I found it. Don't look it up, Chris. Don't
Wow.
do it. You can't unsee what has been seen.
Do you think that's real?
Well, I mean, it's an X-ray. Yeah, I mean,
Is he going to infinity and beyond?
crazy. He's going to be a problem when that guy is going to the bathroom. That's
Yes,
what I'll tell you.
That's going to be a problem.
That's going to be trouble because I think his little wings are going to. I mean, if you moved wrong, Ken, I think you press that button and Buzz's little wings will pop up.
Oh, that's a bad day.
That's going to be a bad day. Oh, it's 55 after the hour. That's Nincompoops in the News. You can vote 615-737-9986. Back right after this. Well, when it comes to large home repairs, a lot of times homeowners pretend they don't see the warning signs. I mean, maybe you sleep a little bit better if you just kind of whistle past the graveyard, but it does not do you any favors, especially when things can get a lot worse when it comes to the foundation of your home or waterproofing your home. Friends, let's not wait another moment. Let's go with USS. Homeowners simply trust USS. USS has been keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. They have over 30,000 satisfied customers. 30,000 satisfied Middle Tennesseans that have, like you, made the call to USS and have had their repairs taken care of swiftly, promptly, and as inexpensively as possible. It's what they do at USS. They come out to your house and you get problem solvers. Keeping homes stable and dry since 1994, they guarantee their best at USS. Give them a call at 615-488-7855. That's 488-7855. USSTN.com online. That's USSTN.com.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. We've been following the situation in northwest Tennessee, Stewart County, where it looks like one person has died after a car drove into the water from a ferry there on the Cumberland River. The ferry had been shut down since this morning when it happened. President Trump on board Air Force One, commenting on the 2 judges arrested for hiding illegal immigrants from deportation.
These are judges that just want to, show how big and important they are. They're local federal judges, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. We have hundreds of thousands of people that we want to get out of the country, and the courts are holding us back.
So here's what happened with this judge in Milwaukee.
Judge Hannah Dugan did make her initial appearance this morning. She was charged with 2 federal crimes. That includes concealing a person from discovery and arrest, and the second count is obstruction of federal proceedings. She appeared, her attorney in that court proceeding said that, quote, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly protests the arrest, and the judge ended up actually ordering her released after that hearing. We expected she will plead not guilty to those charges.
Yeah, the FBI says Judge Dugan helped an illegal immigrant who was charged with battery and abuse to slip out of her courtroom through the jury door while directing ICE agents to another part of the courthouse. Alex Stone reports on the case of a judge in New Mexico.
Former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano resigned from his position in March. He's now been arrested along with his wife, accused of knowingly allowing members of a Venezuelan gang to live on their property. They were arrested by ICE agents on Thursday night. 3 Venezuelan nationals were arrested earlier this year on their property. They had allegedly been living in a guest house. The former judge is also accused of providing the men with guns, something he denies. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Here's another story on immigration. The Trump administration is reinstating international students' visas, but only until ICE has time to come up with a framework to use to terminate them again. And Luigi Mangione, the man accused of ambush murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in December, pleading not guilty to federal charges in court today. Prosecutors have said they plan to get him sentenced to death if he's convicted.
The defense attorney, Karen Friedman-Ignifilo, said today that she would seek to try only the federal case because the death penalty is at stake, and try to make the state case that charges him with murder and terrorism offenses go away. This is a long process. Mangione's not due back in federal court until December, and in the meantime, the defense is going to try and get the death penalty off the table. We'll see how successful they are.
That's Aaron Katursky reporting. And the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police reporting a crash 440 eastbound right there at I-24. Then in Laverne, police say there is a crash partially blocking the on-ramp 24 westbound from Old Hickory Boulevard. Murfreesboro, TDOT says a crash 24 eastbound at New Salem Highway, and in Pleasant View, a crash 24 westbound after exit 24. Creve Hall got a stalled vehicle off on the shoulder, but people slowing down to get around at 65 southbound before Harding Place. And then in Smyrna, a crash 24 eastbound near Sam Ridley Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, it's our final hour of the week. We hand off to the great one, Mark Levin, about an hour from now. Plenty of time for you to get involved by calling 615-737-9986. It's kind of a flush the line situation. If anything's gone on over the course of the week that we've not mentioned that you want to readdress, it's time to get it done. 615-737-9986. We would love to hear from you. You might note that there's a little music in the background. We are at Drafts and Watercrafts, the restaurant right at Twin Creeks Marina. We're at Timms Ford Lake. It's beautiful. I mean, it came down as they say, a frog strangler right as we got here. And now it's cleaned up. Now it's a little bit overcast, but you know what? You need those overcast days to enjoy the sunny ones. It's beautiful one way or the other at Timms Ford Lake, and we'd love to see you. You know, they've got cabins for rent. Yeah, pontoon. I mean, all you need is a desire to get out on the water, and they've got everything else that you need at Timms Ford Lake. They got cabins for rent. They got pontoon boats for rent. They got jet skis for rent. They got, anything you know. They got food, delicious food, beverage. I just had delivered to me. I just showed Chris Weber my delicious virgin bushwhacker that they just delivered to me. That's what I was told, that it was a virgin bushwhacker, which I think. Virgin bushwhacker is a milkshake, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what you call that, yeah.
That's what you call one of those. I mean, I'd never heard of a bushwhacker before I came to Nashville.
Same.
Did bushwhackers come from Nashville?
That's a good question. I had never heard of them either until I moved here.
But it's a heck of a way to have a drink, I'll tell you that, because you feel decadent because you feel like you're having a milkshake, and before you know it, you feel all funny inside and all buzzy in your head. Sally writes in and says, we've got a crash, I-65 northbound, exit 104 with the right lanes blocked, so y'all be careful out there. It'll be there when you get there. And just be careful on the roadways. Ken Weaver was just telling you about some of the roadway issues that we've got going on. We'd love to hear from you, 615-737-9986. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has been very busy, not too busy, however, to update us on the theft of her purse. She revealed in a podcast this week how her purse was ultimately snatched at a restaurant in Washington, D.C. She described it as a professional job. The purse was taken Sunday by a white male wearing a mask. The bag contained $3,000 in cash as well as personal documents. I have to sneeze. Pardon me. It's my bad. As that virgin bushwhacker. That's exactly right. The purse was taken Sunday by a white male, as I mentioned, wearing a mask. The bag contained $3,000 in cash. And I asked the question, and a lot of folks got mad at me for asking. I'm not faulting Kristi Noem for having $3,000 in cash necessarily. It's just that just seems interesting to me. Now, the suggestion was made that she probably had that amount of money because it was Easter Sunday and she had a group of family members together, and maybe she was, handing out some money for Easter, to which I questioned if that was a thing. I didn't realize that handing out cash during Easter Sunday was a thing. I mean, and as Chris Webber and I said, the best I ever got was a hollow chocolate bunny and maybe an Easter basket with some candies and jelly beans and eggs in there. But we never got any cash. But, I guess to each their own. She said on the Vince show, which we've been hearing a lot about on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Cumulus product, that it was kind of shocking. I was sitting right beside my feet. I felt the purse. He hooked it with his foot and drug it a few steps away, dropped a coat over it, and took it. She said, I felt it, but I thought it was my grandkids kicking me in the legs. It was professionally done. It tells me this happens all the time to people, and they live in communities where this is a danger, and reaffirms why I'm here. My job, she said, is to make sure that I do everything every day I can to make communities safer. President Trump recognizes that families shouldn't have to live with any kind of violence in their lives. Now, her explanation to me raises more questions than it really answers, but I'll get into that in a moment. Homeland Security spokesperson told Fox News Digital that her entire family was in town. She was using a withdrawal with her family to treat her family to dinner, activities, and Easter presents. She said during the podcast interview she was not sure why she was targeted. I think it was just a busy grandma with grandkids under the age of 4. I was taking care of them and enjoying food with my family. A woman dining with her family recently had her purse stolen in downtown Washington, just a few blocks away from the restaurant. So there's really no indication necessarily that the assailant or the individual responsible for the theft knew necessarily that it was Kristi Noem's. I mean, the question was, did they know whose purse they were stealing? There's no indication that they did. At the same time, I still have to ask, I understand you're out with your family. I understand that you want to, have some alone time with your family, but I even hesitate to bring this up because I don't want to give any bad guys an idea, but does the Secretary of Homeland Security not have security at a restaurant? And if so, that's not very good security that you're going to allow someone to get close enough to Kristi Noem that they're able to take their foot and drag her purse away and then steal the purse without anybody noticing. And I don't believe – they haven't caught this person. So the individual that stole it remains at large? I don't believe that anyone's been apprehended. At least I've not seen where anyone's been apprehended. Correct me if I'm wrong. It does not give me a lot of faith if Kristi Noem does not have better security than that. 1972 says, I don't go anywhere without $1,000, and I'm not rich. My parents hide 500 eggs for 50 kids, pay out money for each egg found, probably around $500 on Easter. I try to keep cash on me. I find it more and more difficult because I never go to a bank. I rarely go. I just don't keep a lot of cash on me anymore. I used to. And I understand that, old school folks, they probably rely on cash a little more than I just don't. You keep cash on you? A lot? Where'd you park? No, I'm just kidding. That's go ahead, Kristi Noem, old Kirby. I just don't keep a lot of cash. And once again, I would be willing to bet you, because the stories that I'm seeing now, they don't indicate any sort of security presence. I would be willing to bet you that there was not a security presence, which kind of boggles the mind if you think about it for a minute. 5510 says you're still butthurt about the dog. I'll say this. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, seems to be doing a fine job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm proud of the job that she's doing at the southern border. I'm proud of the job that she's doing in conjunction with Border Czar and Immigration Czar, Tom Homan. I think they're doing great work, and I think they are bright stars in the beginning 95 days of the Trump administration. That said, no, I haven't forgiven Kristi Noem, and I never will. You don't shoot a dog. You don't shoot a perfectly good dog. You just don't. And have me as an ally of yours anymore. There is a bright line in the sand for me regarding that. And I've had the debate on cricket in the past, and I don't want to have the debate again because it is fruitless. I think some people are defending Kristi Noem just because they like her or they don't want to dislike her, but I don't think that there's any excuse for what she did to that dog, period, and that is just the end of it. 0152 says, I think bushwhackers maybe did originate here or at least in the Mid-South. I've always preferred my bushes whacked or at least trimmed. Was it the Floribama? Scotty would know. Scotty's our man, the proprietor of Drafts and Watercrafts, and Scotty says that they were created at the Floribama, which that tracks. Have you been to the Floribama? I've been to the Floribama too. Don't go barefooted in the Floribama. You'll get diseases that they don't have any cures for. You go barefooted at the Floribama. 9832 says, I'm with you, Matt. Unforgivable. And 1860 says she's still a hottie. She's fine-looking woman, but there's a lot of fine-looking women that I wouldn't want to hang out with. $100 bill is like 20 anymore, so if she had six or once again, please don't fault my curiosity for somehow being accusatory. I'm not accusing Kristi Noem of anything untoward. I'm not saying that she was doing anything wrong. I'm sure that she was handing out maybe she had cash for the restaurant. Maybe she was handing out cash to her grandkids and her kids on Easter. That's all well and good. I just found it surprising that somebody in Washington, D.C. would be walking around with $3,000 in cash. That's all. Maybe I just don't run in those circles. Doug writes in and says, Bob says hello and says you need to talk less. That's true. That's exactly what Bob told me, that I needed to be quiet about crap that I didn't know anything about. If you've never heard that story, it's a pretty good one. And several confirmations that bushwhackers did, in fact, come from the Floribama. Hey, Matt Murphy, keep them bushes trimmed back, and it'll make the – y'all, you know what? I've got to learn on a Friday afternoon at 6:18, especially when I'm out here at Tim's Ford, I've got to pre-read some of these text